Mic check. Welcome to the channel. This is Reliable Rudy. Getting a couple things set up. Okay, volume's there. Everything looks good. How's it going, everybody? Before we go into any of this pre-market, we got 11 minutes to the open. Then we'll go through the title names, and then we will set up for our day. But before we go into any of that, you guys know I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Everything in this live stream and this video is me simply sharing my opinion, nothing more, nothing less. Just sharing my opinion, guys. I'm just a guy doing what I love to do. We trade the stock market and invest in the stock market every single day. So if you're new, I hope you enjoy the content. If you're not new, good to have you back. Looking for that 100th subscriber today. We'll see if we can get that today. We sat flat at 99 yesterday. Um, that 100 will come. I'm waiting to see triple digits there, but we'll see. So now that we got through the intro, let's go through the title. GNS got as high as 48, I believe, yesterday. What was it? Yep, 48. 48s, we got 45s was our best print. We went on the work right around this time. We took a piece off. We got those 35 fills. We had that good till cancel order that we put in. Actually, it was in the middle of this third candle. We still had that good till cancel order get filled. This is the candle when we ended up going to work. We took a 40 fill and we threw something on 45. So 45 was the best print yesterday. And we also had something off 50s, which just barely didn't print. Now, the 35 was a 1/15th cut, and the 40 and the 45 were both 1/30th cut, so call it a 1/15th trim up there, and we had a 1/15th trim off of 250, and then we had a half cut with the shares that we were going to have available off at 270. If after we went to work it just got ridiculous and just kept going, 270 we threw something on there, and I'm sure I can go look to the left of the chart and explain why. But now coming back in, is 2 going to be able to hold? Is it going to be able to hold this support, catch a bid maybe to the top of this wick, which is kind of also your previous low? So maybe we can just mark those that wick low right there with these wicks, and we can think of this as a trimming window where, okay, let's take another piece off. It's not as likely we're going to get that 270s today with the gapping down, but we'll start with 2, and maybe we can even think about putting a stop loss underneath the wick lows, and if we do get an exhaustive fall off to the 150 neckline, maybe even the previous highs at 170, we can think about starting to hit some reloads. But with it gapping down, I'm not really interested in saying, oh, we got some shares cut up here, let's buy them back in right here. I'm sure that would be a play that could work out, but not going to be interested in that. We have a couple new positions from yesterday. One was after the live stream, but we'll go to the ASTS space mobile. Honestly, I just said that we set this up when we got home from work. We said I just want to see an open above 394, and I can maybe think about order just a small orders off 92s or 90s. 90s is the body candles, I believe. Yep, 90s is right off those body candles. So if I wanted to, I could average some more into this. We had 2 fills yesterday. First one was at 91.80, I believe, and the next one was off of 89s. Wasn't really sure how it was going to play out. With it being a relatively weak name, it was kind of testing up. Was it going to see some resistance here in front of those 95s? Well, we set a close at 4, a healthy looking candle. If this candle pulls back and catches support off 390, I wouldn't be surprised to see it just show this wick into this green candle and then actually end as a green candle, at least maybe wicking up to these into these 4s a little bit. So we can all actually think about some trims on the name if we catch a bid up into these 4s. because we think that this could possibly have to trade sideways for a little bit. You got a nice red candle to the downside. You can see the selling pressure as we get into the middle of that. Well, now when we get to these previous lows over here, how is it going to act is going to be the question. Mr. Drift, how we doing? Mr. Rudy, how's it going? I'm good, thank you. You always come in like that, Drift. I love it. I love it. The consistency is unreal, Drift. I see you. But no, uh, let me get through these title names quick. So that was a new one, and we talked about AMPS. We had this alert. We talked about the alert. AMPS crossing 645. I wasn't expecting it to cross it as like it did. If we go to the 15-minute chart right here, you can see it was just trading sideways, and we were like, you do have some support kind of built in right there, but we really wanted it to fall in, and we were saying, hey, let's see this be some sort of retracement, come down closer to that 6, where we really like it a lot more. Well, we were put in a bind. Because this candle, I believe, doesn't quite trigger us. This candle doesn't quite trigger us. This candle triggers us. As soon as we got triggered, we're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Go over the amps. And we instantly punched in market. And it was this wick and intraday gaps over that. And we actually did get 45 on this wick low right here. So, yeah, maybe had I put that alert just a little bit higher, or a little bit lower, we would have got a little bit better print. So I didn't really get the most size on it. So I'm going to be I don't have the pre-market of where this is going to open, but I'd be very interested if this wasn't going to give some sort of gap up, or at least a flat open where you can have some orders off 650. So I'm not opposed of adding that 650. It just came in so quick, and that's why we don't have much size on it. But AMPS, you look at the daily on this, and there is probably some sort of downtrend in with this, but a nice sustained hold off that positive break, a couple nice green candles coming in. Even if this has to pull back into like 40s, we think that we're going to be buyers for this name, so we got it over here so we can always keep our eye on it. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this even gap up above like some sort of, like if it gapped up to like 65s, maybe even 70s, I maybe even look for a little bit of retracement and average up even up in these above yesterday's high. I'm not opposed to it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a nice green candle come in for this name. I just wish that it actually had some pre-market trading. I'm excited to see where this is going to open. 4 minutes left. Let's hurry up and get through these. Discover finding, or not Discover. We'll talk about Discover. But Warner Bros. A really extraordinary day yesterday. I wasn't expecting a candle like this to come in, but if you look at this 15-minute, look at this flat top that is built right here. We had bought some, I believe, on this little consolidation. It was either one of these. It was in the 70s. We averaged up. Our first entry off 13s was okay. Start the position, but we really got our position built around these 1250s, and the resilience of holding through this move to the downside. We could have averaged some off 12. This is a tough look to buy right there. You're giving out a flat bottom, and but reclaiming it, holding the 1250, and now setting a close right at that flat top. Even if it has to pull back in a little bit, I wouldn't be surprised to see a nice green move go through this flat top. But if it needs to come back down to 1250, okay, that's kind of the range that's kind of setting up, since it at least tested up towards these 80s. So a really nice look on Warner Bros. Let's keep moving forward. Devon Energy holding that 80. I really want to see oil down in those upper 70s. We've talked about it for I think 2 weeks now. But you can see we had our descending channel set on this. Potential gap up. Is it going to be able to have some strength to take out the highs? You look at the daily on this. You're reclaiming positive strength. It rejects it and then reclaims it. Let's just clear out the chart. You can see that there is buying pressure but also selling pressure. But this neckline, I would say if this can reclaim 51s today, I wouldn't be surprised to see it gap up, just trade down a little bit, fill that gap, or maybe even just show strength. I wouldn't be surprised to see a continuation candle test up towards these 52s. That would check the box for everything I'm looking for today. So if we see this even getting close to 52s, we think that we can, it might need to trade down the next couple days, but we think that we can run this up to this gap, or this is where we're looking to start getting smaller trims on it. But even if this were to get over 54s, we'll be extremely bullish on this name. A nice trend line hold. So that's what we're looking for with Devin. A couple minutes left. Let's hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. NVAX. I'm not even sure where NVAX is going to open. Flat open, but holding that 8 level yesterday was big. Actually held as a green candle on candle number 4, gapped up. Wasn't able to fill that gap. I wanted to not fill that gap. I wanted that gap to be there for protection as long as it can. So interesting to see how this one's going to play out. End phase. I think we're going to buy some more end phase today. Giving a small gap up to 126s, but if this wants to come down anywhere down to here, man, it looks like a short. It looks like it's this red candle should have some selling pressure, and we could see this curl down. But I am really itching at the bone to buy some more end phase. So the next name, we have one more name, DFS. I'm in the same boat. End phase and DFS are in that same boat for me. As long as this keeps trading sideways, the longer it does that, this is going to keep sloping up. As soon as this gets out of this oversold area, I think we're going to punch in for some more shares. Is there any other names that we have on there? Nope, that was everything. So now we're set up. We're ready to go. We can see where we'll start with GNS. We'll see if this holds this 2 level off the open. But we can also think about some trims. I did see Neo giving a larger gap down. We have this 1020 marked. It's pretty much hasn't changed. We just marked this high, which is also these lows, and here's the open, giving some, a little bit of a red move to the start, but it is filling this gap, and right through that, let's see if any buying can come in here. I'm not opposed. And GNS gapping down below that, kind of putting us in a bind. I think we're just gonna let this first beginning kind of play out right here. Let's see if this can start wicking and claim twos. So starts to wick. Now we can think about, okay, we can think about a small out underneath 180 if we wanted to, but that's right into this previous high. I think we're just gonna sit tight on this name. ASTS opening around for Warner Brothers, gapping up and showing a green candle above that flat top at 1280s. That's a very interesting look. AMPS, oh boy, AMPS opening up. It gaps, slight gap up on AMPS, kind of right into that downtrend that we had set right there. Neo really giving up the ghost right here. I would say that, you know, with this earnings report, this is getting more into a confirmed negative break. Is it going to be able to hold 10s? You know, if you were in before this earnings report and you're holding it, I would say think about some outs underneath this 988, and if you really love the name, you can think about reloading the position around this 958 to 940. But yeah, that one is getting a little bit touchy right there. AMPS up to that 660. Man, this is going to put us in a position. Let's go to a 15-minute here. Oh, man, that just looks so good. Yeah, let's just try it for a little bit more size. And here it's coming down to this gap. So I think this is going to be our opportunity to just... I just wanted to see a flat open. Let's try just a few shares right there. Nothing crazy. But yeah, we are going to add a little bit there and see how it works. We can maybe even think about some orders off of what else do we got? End phase down slightly. Let's see what these top movers are looking like. PDD. I do have a name that I got written down right here. I can't add new names to my watch list, but I am going to be thinking. I'm just trying to focus up. I feel like there's something I gotta see right here. When that open comes on in, it is pedal to the metal. Pedal to the metal. Warner Brothers right back into this 80, kind of just a washout top. Is there going to be buying pressure that holds this there? I would say it's a decent look. Looking at some of these top moves. Okay, let's go look at that ticker we wrote down. It's TIGR. Up FinTech Holdings. We like the earnings report. We mapped out some levels that we're going to be interested in. It's at 91s right now. Let's see if this can show some more weakness. I think we're going to play this name off of that 375. So let's go ahead. I don't know if I can put an alert on a name that I don't have on the watch list. Yep, looks like I can. Thank the Lordy. Let's look at some top volume for the day. PDD. Let's take a look at PDD. Actually, it looks bullish as heck. I just feel like I would want this entry off this trend line, holding that positive strength. But you know, it is what it is. ASTS coming on in, gap down, catches a bid up to 4. It doesn't need the trade down into these. Hold on, I gotta turn this volume down on this. There we go. Okay, we're all set. He gapping down. AMC. I seen it was up in the pre-market. Looks like a nothing burger. That's what we got for the top volumes. Nothing really of names that I would say. Maybe this GOV. I'd want to see it come back down to this flat top though. Let's get a refresh right here. Warner Bros. Giving up the ghost a little bit. Same with Devon. Devon giving up the ghost a little bit. So that flat open didn't have much. AMPS still holding that level right there. I think with this gap up from 53s, we can think about putting an order right off that 53 half. Or no, right off 650 is what we're going to be looking for. ASTS still holding right around this open price. Let's go to a 15-minute here. Opens at 99s. You know, I do think that if it can hold this range, it still has some potential right there. So amps, nice wick into that open, and there we go. Boom, beautiful, 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 beautiful. So we had a nice add right off of that range. Let's see if we can get some continuation. I think this is a really good setup. It just bothers me a little bit that we didn't have any of this first green candle, but at least we got something down here where we started the position a little bit. FVRR, we did adjust this trend line a little bit, but you can see how is it going to act around this trend line. You look at the daily chart for it. We adjusted this top and we looked at this as kind of a false break to the upside. And all in all, I would have expected it to reject this area anyways, but that was an earnings day, so sometimes it just gets a little bit, just, you know, what's the right word? Where everyone is just a little bit excited, you know what I mean? But Warner Bros, I would say rejecting that area a little bit, but you know, around this flat top, there's a lot of candle left in that needs to be made. End phase, kind of a flat open. Uh, GNS turns into a green candle. So let's look at the 15-minute here. I think that as this pushes up higher, we can think about actually trimming some right here. So let's just go out and just trim some and then stop some underneath that too. We'll start at 196. So let's try and get a trim on the name and see if it can push back up to those 210s. But if I see it give up these 2s convincingly, we're just going to use this market order as our stop trim. And there's 208 again. Let's see if it can get back up to those 210s, and let's take our fill right there. I've seen 207s were on the bid, so let's see if what we got right there. And we got 207 halves. So not a bad first trim. And that was a 1/30th trim. Just a small trim we wanted to get on the name. With a large gap down like that, I was already thinking about, hey, is this an area where we should stop some out? Now when it catches a bid into these previous trading ranges, let's just take a piece off. I know it's like, oh, dude, you could have took that same piece off up here. I know. It is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it now. I already made the order. But now if it gives up 2s, you know, maybe we don't have to trim some. But now if it trades back up to these 25s, we'll probably take another 1/30th trim on the name. We'll see how that goes though. Let's get a refresh on these top movers. AMPS, number 1 mover. There's 212s. PayPal slightly green. Warner Brothers trying to hold 75s. End phase turned green. NVAX wicking down to those 12. So what did I say? I said I want to see this gap hold off as long as it possibly can, which I'm pretty sure it's actually at 05s. So we'll put that at 05s. Wick getting very close, and you can see the buying pressure holding it up as it gets down to that range. So a good start to what I'd like to see. Even if it comes back in, maybe it does have to fill this gap before it really gets going. But let's look at some of these other top movers. Wow, look at that move down. What else do we want to take a look at? Geo surprisingly still trying to hold that 7 range. The longer it trades right there, the more it looks like flat bottom break. ASTS wicking down as low as 95s. So I mean, it passed what I wanted to see it do. I wanted to see it open above 95s, and you can see the buying pressure coming on in a little bit. It's given up some of these levels, but this is a nice green move. If we switch over to the hourly chart, you'll see a nice strong move wicking into the previous highs as of right now. I'd say it's a decent first start for the name. Let's go look back at the TIGR and see what this is doing. Oh, man. How about that? Marking the wick low off of one of my levels. And if we go over to the daily chart, you can probably see why I marked that is because gaps down right here, all I did was map out those body candle lows. So we didn't have the exact low, but man, if this could have just came on in just a little bit more, we were going to try this off 75s. But that's all right. We're not going to force ourselves into a larger gap up like this, but I actually did like the earnings report quite a bit. We skimmed through that this morning, and I thought they did a lot of good things. And for a newer company, sometimes it's tough to really decide where you want it. But I would say a decent look with this name, even when it trades down right here, just kind of trades down to the trend line, but holds that positive strength, and now giving a nice curl up, a gap up. Anybody who is short trying to get that boom gap down through that trend line, sitting pretty good if you ask me. Grom actually has some volume, but weak name. We're not even going to take a look at that too many times today, unless it just really gets going. But other than that, there isn't really too much volume names. This PDD, I would say that's a great look for continuation. As long as it doesn't start wicking back into this resistance level around 90, I would say you're probably, and it filled this gap right here. See, this is where the gap is at. It wicks into that, so now it doesn't have to worry about that. You have a nice stair step. Here's your wave 1, 2, 3, 4. Now a wave 5 could actually push you up towards these highs, which has, still a decent amount of room if you're looking at just playing some momentum. I'd say you still have a good 10% upside move. Whether that comes today, next week, I don't know. But then at that point, you're maybe thinking about an all-time high break, where you can get a price movement even higher than that. So, not excuse me. So not a half bad look on PDD. Looking at these other VTRS, nope. Nikola trying to hold this level, probably setting up a flat bottom break. DFS claiming 90s again. So kind of wanted to see that getting beaten down in end phase, showing a nice green candle. How does it act when it gets to this 127? I really want to see it trade back down in these low 120s again. I would love to buy some more shares. What else we got? Warner Bros. Reclaiming those 80s. So nice buying coming into the top end of that green candle. You can see this first candle gaps up. It doesn't necessarily have the gap fill buyers right away, but it came in quick. But all it did was test the kind of flat top that it built all yesterday. It closed above that. Now really starting to get going a little bit. Not a ton of volume, but I mean a notable move, saying that this was a pretty significant resistance level right here. I would say this looks pretty good. If I didn't have a position, I'd probably say, hey, this is a nut up or shut up. We got to at least think about an entry right here. But we like the entry that we have, and we're just going to ride with it. ASTS printing up over 4s for right now. So that is notable in itself right there. A nice hold of those 95s. Yeah, it's a nice candle on the day. GNS right at that 2 level. Right at that 2 level. We can think about maybe getting one more print on this name. Let's go see what the tape's looking like. Slightly giving up 2s. Let's just go ahead and put a stop at 195s for just a small trim. We're not sure if it's going to execute or not, and now that it's down here near those, let's keep watching the tape. 195, we don't have it in yet. Let's see if it can get bought up at all. We might just switch this to a market. Okay, so now that the buyers are there at the 95s, let's go 92s. 192. If that triggers, we've given it at least a little bit of cushion, but that is going to be our last trim on the name. If it wants to trade all the ways back down to 144s, we will hold it all the ways back in. Let's look at some other top losers for the day. Loser. I don't see any names. Maybe Docs. I'd love to see it trade back down here where we can think about it. What's our strength looking like? We're getting close to exiting that oversold. Probably has some sort of tight channel. That high pushing up as high as it could gives that channel a little bit more room. But down here at 2250s, we can think about it. GNS, hopefully this stop can hold right here. If it can hold this range, this is actually not a half bad look. And honestly, if I wanted to play it safe, I could even go below that wick low. But we're okay getting a trim on the name. ASTS giving up 4s, that's alright. Discover Financial, look at that setup, man. This is so tempting to just go buy. Looking at the daily, it's just the strength isn't there yet. I don't want to, if I can get this lower, I would love to. And maybe we can start right off that gap up from 88.70. Warner Bros. Still holding above 1280s. Devon, you can see it wicking into that green move a little bit. A nice hold. It doesn't get too close to 50, but I'd say a nice 30 penny move off the low. I can sit here and say 50 hold there. So 50 holding. The buyers coming in off this green move. I wouldn't be surprised to see this have to trade sideways up here. Maybe see a flush back into the trend line. But if it trades sideways long enough, all it takes is that take out some orders and boom, just like that, testing up the 52s. So that's what we're looking to see. Neo wick low right there. Had you had a gap. What did I say? I said if you were looking at getting out off that break of 10, you can reload right off that 957. And does this? Oh man, 940s didn't quite fill. But if that's saying that if you were just in love with the name and you didn't, and you wanted the long, that could have been an opportunity where you could have, got averaged that position just about 40 cents better than what you had it. But even if you had orders off that 950, I mean, you would have got filled. So notable there. AMPS giving that third green candle, actually potentially getting up into that overbought area. That is where we want to see it. But I'm actually tempted to buy some more of this. When I bought it right off the open, let's just go take a look at that 1 minute. Boom, we seen it down here. Punch it. Punch it. Don't care. First seconds of the open. Punch it. And now holding some levels right here over yesterday's high. It's a good first start to AMPS. But, a lot of time left, of course. Warner Brothers open of the next candle. Intraday gapped, actually. You don't see names with high liquidity like this name, intraday gap. But you can see he filled it quickly, and now buyers coming on in 1286, convincingly above these tops right here. If it closes or even takes out this wick high at 1290s, I wouldn't be surprised to see this claim 13s today. So we'll see how that goes. GNS holding as a green candle. You can see that if this does give up these 92s, it's a bearish setup, especially if it takes out this wick low. I would say you could see some red engulfings come on through the level. But trying to hold these twos, these buyers are trying to hold it up right there. AMPS coming back in, intraday gaps, that's fine. I still think that this is a strong area. And just, I shouldn't have made it sound like, okay, it made this little move up. It's in the clear. No, I mean, it's still, this downtrend has a lot of play with it. And what I mean by that is that, you know, maybe I'm supposed to have the downtrend set like this. Maybe I'm supposed to have the downtrend set like this. We're over top of it and it needs to test the top end of it, which is a 650. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can mark that. We're just saying that, hey, this is kind of, it put in a nut up or shut up even the day before, kind of. Gaps up, got the buyers in the middle of the green candle, catches a bid. We like the earnings report. Anybody that's in short, you know, when you're flirting with the wick top up here, you know, it has a gap up here at 675s, but you know, as soon as you get over this wick top, anybody short off that earnings is now out of the money. So that's just saying that if you got the perfect entry at that 670, I'm sure everybody short did not get that entry, but who knows? We'll see how that plays out. Still very small size on this position. We only have two small fills, so I'm not going to make it sound like, oh yeah, we're raking in the cash. Chio, I can't even believe, you know, this is kind of testing these lows. Not the most amount of volume yesterday. PayPal, man, this one is really setting up for continuation, fighting through these lows at 61.90s. You know, maybe that's not set. Maybe this is supposed to be set right in around 62 flat, but I mean, we're right there. So PayPal is a very interesting setup. Warner Bros. Still trying to catch a bid. Man, this one, it maybe needs to give some sort of curl pattern back into this 1250, which is the middle of that green candle. But you know, over top at 1280, that thing could get going. Let's look at some of these other top movers on the day. I believe this was a special dividend. I seen that headline. It was a special dividend that they announced. A nice pump. You know, financially sound company here, buying back a ton of shares. We try. It was always just super light volume. We tried the long actually a few times down here in threes. For whatever reason, we got out of it. Now, you know, that's where fundamentals. This is like a skin, like a vitamins, like a healthy lifestyle type of company. Like you would never really even think too much about this company, but you know, financially doing everything that they were supposed to do. Not a high margin company by any means, but they had no debt. Oh no, I actually see one popping up here that actually could be something. We've talked about SPGC a few times. Whoops. See what this 15 minutes looking like. A nice healthy green candle. I don't see too much of an uptrend and pretty light volume as well. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this catch a bid if it claimed over 3. So let's put an alert right in front of those 3s and see if that wants to trigger. Well, 298. We can maybe think about it. Just kind of putting that alert there. This isn't a name that I would say, oh yeah, that alert for triggering in. No, I wouldn't put that into that category, but a notable setup if it's able to take out that sort of flat top right there. I don't see any, like, I mean, maybe some false wicks up into this 308, but I mean, if you get over top of that, IPO price could easily come into play. But this is a nice flat bottom break. Hold, give it up, wick up to that area. Hasn't really wicked up to that area, so a decent amount of cushion from this alert price up to that level, 20%. So I could see it. TMC, we had an alert on TMC, just never alerted us. We put that kind of right off that wick top right there. But I'd say you have a decent uptrend build. Looking at the daily chart, you can see the curl pattern. You can see the uptrend goes back even further where you have your 3 points of contact. This comes back into that 125 area. I'm not opposed of thinking about it, so that's why the 132 alert is in right there. AMPS giving up that kind of a washout top type of look. I'm sure there is some sort of retracement built in there. Yep, you're 702. So buying it right into some resistance could be the wrong play, but I still like the name. If it tests back in the 640, I'm really going to be interested in punching for some more shares on this. GNS. Back down to the 95s, you know, if this red candle comes on in and doesn't wick into this area, we can actually think about having some outs underneath the 180 as well. So let's go actually put a. I said that I wasn't going to trim it anymore. What's that wick low get to? 93s. We have our stop at 92s. Let's go check and see if that filled. Because we couldn't. Nope, we still have open order off 92s, so it has a chance to hold. We got 24 lots on 95s. But let's think about another stop trim underneath of. We'll just run the hard stop 180. Look at Geo Group. Talk about some resilience. It needs to have a little bit more resilience though, as I would say 710 is some serious resistance right there, building in. FVR, talk about just adjusting that trend line. The opening candle comes down and test it. How about that? If you were just saying, hey, right off the trend line, let's try it. 2% in the money as we speak. So a decent move off the open right here with FVR. And we are long of a 25 something average. So by no means, we didn't really get too much size off of it on this move to the upside. So looking back, we could have played this a lot better. But I like this name for the long, high margin company. And Neil, look at that. How about those orders off that gap? Could have been something there. Catching a nice bid off, or a nice move to the upside right there. Mara, nice support level building in right here. Doesn't need to reject these lows, come back in, set at some sort of higher low. Maybe. Just maybe. ASTS kind of flat, no NVAX flat. GNS, I'm pretty sure that just gave us a fill on our first stop, and there it is. That should have stopped us out of a small trim right there. We have one more out for this name at 180s. If 180s can hold, we will hold the rest of the position. I'm not going back on my word this time. If this 180 fills to the downside, even if 175s hold, I'm going to say, this could easily see a significant flush to the downside if that comes on in. So we'll see. AMPS getting as low as 51s right there. 51s. But other than that, what else do we see? Geo still trying to hold those sevens. I, I have a lot of long-term like for this company, but the chart setup is, I mean, it has a lot of day lift. All it would take is for it to set a close at like 702 or something like that, and it would show that wick into these previous lows and into this level. If it's able to break higher than that, okay, we also have some resistance built in at 25, so by no means is this like a drop in the bucket. But I do like the long for this name. It might just need to pull back into some of these levels before it really has a chance, though. GNS stopped us out of those 92s. That was a smaller order. This 180 order is a little bit bigger. NVAX, kind of putting an indecision candle. If it does set a close like this, like let's say it closed this candle like this, and if tomorrow's candle came down and filled that, tested that towards that 8 flat, filled that 805 gap, I wouldn't be surprised to see this be looked at as a sort of a double bottom play, where these tops at 840 is a neckline. It's gonna have to fight through 870 still, but then your breakout level over top of yesterday's high, a 9 break could be significant. Other than that, showing a little bit of patience. I didn't see anything off the open. We can take a look back at that TIGR rejecting the top end of the downtrend. Would have been would have been a dandy of an entry right there. How about that? 14% move, marking the wick lows. It's too bad we don't have it, but you can see the volume increase. I wouldn't be surprised to see this be some sort of continuation play. But maybe tomorrow and later into the week it needs to pull back in before it can make a greater move. But getting into that overbought area, it's a good look. Wolf. A nice hold of those fives. SPGC, get out of here. I just looked at that, and it was at 80s. Oh my gosh, look at that break at 3. Look at this. Look at this candle. It came back in the 84s. Oh man, this is getting spicy right here. Let's maybe try and order off of these threes. SPGC. Uh, we can think about it as, oh, it's a wide spread though. We have so it's actually at 91 right here. Let's try a small position on this. I don't like that washout top though. It's a little bit scary. Let's try it off of these. Oh boy, the bid's at 95s now. Okay, here we go. Let's try these 292s and see if we can get something. That's where the bid is at right now, so we're going to try and get these 92s and see if we get a fill. Small size for right now. No fill as of yet. Man, look at that buying pressure coming in. Actually getting a little bit of volume increase. So this could be setting up for a break at 3. Let's see if we can get these 92s filled. Geo still giving that slight churn to the upside. AMPS holding 50s beautifully. Very nice, very nice. ASTS holding that 4 level still. Neo reclaimed 10. Still, I would say look for continuation to the downside. GNS, given that candle look right there, it's not going to be pretty if it gives up 80s. I think we're going to see a flush come in on this name if 80s print. But just in case I'm wrong, that's only a trim for some shares. We'll see how it goes from there. 92s, a few 92s went through the tape right there on SPS. Nope, we didn't get the fill though. Oh man, I see 92s go. 92s is on the bid. There's 5 lots right there. Let's see if we can get a fill on this name. Where's the SPGC? Let's move that up here. Now that we are trying to get a position on it, we don't. There's 92s. Come on. Oh, 2 lots just went off on 92s. Let's see if we got the fill. We did get the fill right there. Oh boy. Oh boy. ASTS catching a bid, printing over the highs. That's getting closer to this first trim level. We can think about having a few, just a smaller out on the name. But let's give it some time to breathe. Warner Brothers leaving look at those wicks. Look at that buying pressure as it gets close to that flat top. Beautiful look. Now a nice green candle coming in. If this candle with 14 minutes left exceeds these volumes with a green candle, that is going to be a dandy of a look if you ask me. SPGC. So we can think about maybe one more order. Here's your 90 resist or support right here. It was resistance. Now we've pushed through it, holds as support. We got a candle close up here at 99s. We can think about trying to get some more size on this name as it tries to hold here. So we're going to keep our eyes on this one. Newer positions always probably going to take the crown, especially a name like this. But here's up to 3s. We can think about getting a cut into 3s. The spread is still a little bit spready. The size is stacking on 96. We'll see if this can get any type of upside movement right here. ASTS, talk about a nice push up to that first level of resistance. There's not really too much there though. I'd say this 415 to 420 is a lot more resistance. So let's see if we can wait. An SPGC giving a nice little candle right here. We'll see if we can get a breakout. Bid's not stacking on top of 3s yet. But a decent sort of first candle start. And GNS did trigger us out of those 80s, so we took one more out right there. You know, looking back at yesterday, it's like, man, could have had those trims up here. Yeah, I know. But, you know, then if we had more of those trims up here and respected it with more size, you know, who knows? Maybe it gapped up And it's like, man, why'd I get rid of that size? I mean, there's only so much you can do, but we are going to hold respect to that 180. Now, if this wants to come on in, I'd say these 65s can hold, but we can think about this 150 reload. Against the chart, it would not look the greatest, but even 150s, we can think about more reloads off 144s as well. ASTS, have a day, have a day. Nice green candle, brand new position yesterday. Talk about buying the consolidations and getting, actually it was over here. Talk about buying this consolidation period, buying it down, no, at 89s we got that fill. We could have had more, but we thought this could have easily turned down and had to test 82s first. Let's keep an eye on SPGC. No size. The bid's actually at 91s right here. So let's go ahead and put another small order off of these 88s and see if this is going to do anything for us. So if 88s fill, we'll see what that has in store for us. NVAX showing that red move. Does it need to come down and test this 805 gap? We will find out. GNS leaving that wick bottom down into 60s. Veil, also a significant move to the upside. I'm going to hate myself for not testing this down here. I cannot believe, with as much time as I put into this chart over the last 2 years, I'm not just talking about the last couple weeks or before that, I'm talking 2 years, I've really been watching this name. 2 years we've been watching this name. This is back to 2020s, almost 3 years. Wow. Wow, just wow. I cannot believe that I did not try some off those low 12s right there. Absolutely ridiculous. Catching a bid, ASTS, continuing the churn. Beautiful look. Honestly, I'd say that 3 level is some hot resistance. But you can see the catalyst where, if this does catch a bid, I'd say 325s is respectable level. And even looking at this 315, I'd say these are all respectable trims for the name. And this, with not enough information, it might even need to come back into like 25s. So by no means is this like a perfect setup, but we're going to try this sort of flat top that's trying to break. If this puts in a nice green candle through this, I don't think we were able to get 88s right there. Mara, a significant move, holding the level, a lot of volume. Here's the open from yesterday, still high volume. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat. Yeah, we were talking about Mara. This SPGC, I think, looks primed. Just needs some buying pressure to push it over these threes, and we could see a nice trend change here. Warner Bros. A nice green candle coming in. We have 7 minutes 50 seconds left on this candle. You can see the volume already testing to the highs of the previous 2 candles. I don't know how else you draw it up. I really don't. And actually testing up into those 90s, that's a day high print. What did I say? I said if this volume exceeds these 2 red candles, I wouldn't be surprised if this starts taking out the highs. It might need to pull back in the middle of this candle back to 85s, but I would expect this to catch a bid unless it just came right back into like 80s. Then maybe the shorts are trying to take control. But I mean, this is, I don't know how else you draw something up. Uh, this is setting up to go test up to 13s. It has really nothing here. It has there's this little bit of a bottom right there at that 13s. So maybe a little bit of resistance right here, but I mean that's not really much. There's not really much there. I'd say you have a little bit more resistance up to the top end of this, which is, it tries to hold that level. So buyers are trying to hold that level. So maybe this red candle is an area where some shorts are getting in. They punch in and try the reload and say, hey, my out is if it reclaims over top of this. Well, it holds and gets that continuation to the downside, and boom. Now the longs kind of discrediting this flat bottom break at 1250. Ah, man, it reclaims it and holds it beautifully. Higher low, sets the flat top, and now taking it out, getting over top of this resistance. I mean, this is a pretty good setup in my opinion for continuation. But I mean, obviously, time will tell. GNS right at that 180 level, wicking down towards that level. We can start putting alerts. We can start with this wick top right here. Let's put an alert off 158. If that triggers this today, we can start thinking about putting orders in for reloads on the name. Mara, we can think about playing this 1090 level as well. I don't think I have any alerts left, but let's just go and throw that. Yeah, we don't. Let's see if we can get rid of anything. TIGR, let's take a look at that. TIGR. Yeah, I think we missed the move on this one. What do you think, Drift? I think we missed the move on that one. Charles, what's good word, brother? I'd give you the rundown of all the names, but we only have 2 new names on here. ASTS is one from yesterday, and AMPS. AMPS was an alert play. We got triggered on an alert at 645. Boom, that's 645. We could have had that alert a little bit lower. We would have had a better first entry, but we did get a 645 print, our fill. And we also bought this first candle at 655 fill. So we're looking for some continuation, small size on the name, not much, but a nice hold of that positive. We can think about taking one of these off. We're going to take this one off. I'm pretty sure we missed the move on that one. So that's too bad. We had one set up there. Well, what was I going to do? I was going to go to GNS. That is right. GNS. We have 2 stop outs on the name, and we have a 208 print. Why did GNS drop? That is a fantastic question, Charles. I will get to that in just a moment. I got to get this alert out there, and it looks like it's there. Why did GNS drop? Well, it's very simple. And it's a question that is not a bad question, because it can be very difficult to understand this. But all short-term trading is, and I would look at this, let's date back a little bit, Charles. This entirety of this move is a short-term move. This entirety of the move is a short-term move. This is momentum. This is, you see when you get a negative break right there, we never reclaim that positive strength. This is all one cycle right there. That's all one move. All short-term. This right here, as soon as we claim positive, all one cycle move. All that matters and all the reason is for this price drop today is more liquidity. No, Charles, I'm getting to my point right now. My bad if I'm kind of dragging it on. All that happened today is more liquidity was added back onto the books. More selling pressure. All that happened was more liquidity was sold than bought. When it gets taken off the books, that price is going to drop. Now, from this wick low, more liquidity has been bought off the books from here to here. And that is why you've seen the price go up. It has nothing to do with there is nothing that has changed fundamentally with the company. I can almost guarantee that. There is nothing, we can look at any one of these names, FVRR. There is nothing that has fundamentally changed on this company today. All that has happened is more liquidity has been bought off the books than sold. Any short-term move, that is all it is. There's no pinpoint reason where, oh, the company changed this, that's why it's moving down. No. The sole reason is more liquidity was taken off the books. I was only saying you have said that so much and I have not paid attention. You know, it's all right. Sometimes, and just because I'm saying that doesn't mean that the price can't go up from these 180s. You know, I had to stop in for a trim. I'm still holding. I can go and take a look. But we had 208s. When I see a gap down like this, I'm just looking for any type of retracement up. So we got 208s. We watched it kind of drop back in the right here, and it caught a bid, tried to hold twos. We put a stop in for another trim at 92s, and then we put one last stop underneath 80s, and I said, that's done. I've done everything that I wanted to do with this position today. Now we have an alert back in off these 162s for when this tests this neckline. If it comes down to this neckline, we're going to think about adding back into the name, and I call that a reload. But I'm not trying. My bad. I'm not trying to sound uh, like like I'm perfect. Like I said, I had a 180 stop. Now we're sitting at 187s. For all I know, this catches a bid. But all I'm telling myself is that right here, as it's retracing back up, I think more liquidity is going to get sold. Right here at 192s, I think more liquidity is going to get sold. Right here at 180, I'm saying to myself, I think more liquidity is going to get sold. Down here, near this 150, near this neckline, maybe even these previous highs. Could easily be decent support right here, and you can see just marking those highs right here, more liquidity was willing to be bought than sold. That is all I'm focused on with this name. Now, if I'm talking about a company I'm trading as like an investment, where I would say GNS is a trade to me. I'm not looking. I have no emotional attachment to this name whatsoever. If this dropped on a knife straight down through 107, let's say, there is a very good possibility that I completely exit the name because I have no emotional attachment to it. Now, let's say we look over at Enphase, and Enphase dropped on a knife down to 118, I would have the biggest smile on my face. I would be punching shares, and let's say right after I punch shares, it comes all the ways back down into 114. You know what I'm going to have on my face? I'm going to have a big old grin, and I'm going to be punching that buy button because, you know, it's possible that I have emotional attachment to this company, but I have a lot of conviction built into the long-term success of this company. Looking at GNS, I don't have the long-term conviction that, hey, this is a company that's going to be around for 20 plus years. They're going to bring in the cash. They're going to consistently give me some type of return at this level. Uh, and a lot of times, if I'm looking at a company for that, I want it to have some type of cash flow. I want to be able to determine, okay, what type of cash is this company going to bring in moving forward, and how can that translate to making it a good investment? That's where I differ. Trading and investing, they are two different things, and a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people, when they're going out and about, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm a trader on the stock market. It's nice and flashy to say, but at the end of the day, that person might not have a single clue what he's talking about when it comes to investing. Just because, you know, investing takes place on the stock market, yes. Just because somebody is a trader of the stock market doesn't mean that he has a single clue what he's talking about when it comes to investing. And I'm just a guy at the end of the day, too. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. I state that at the beginning of every one of my live streams. I'm not licensed. Yes, I do put a lot of time into it. Yes, if we're put into a conversation, I'm going to be able to hold my own into talking about the stock market, talking about investing, talking about trading, because I put a lot of time into it, and I feel very confident in my ability. But at the end of the day, I'm not giving financial advice when I'm saying this. All I'm stating is my opinion, and that is my strategy. It works for me. It might not work for you, Charles. At the end of the day, you also have to find out what works for you. I'm good because I have upstream, and GNS is trading at $4 on the upstream exchanging, and it can't be shorted. Well, there you go. It sounds like you're ahead of the game. If you got GNS at $4, I mean that is significant. Uh, But to me, I'm really not that focused with that aspect of it. One sec, I may be getting this fill off of SPGC. That washout top on increased volume. Look at this. We go to a 5-minute chart right here. Look at that volume. Look at that volume. How much selling pressure is taking place right here? I would say a significant amount of selling pressure. It puts in question that if this 88s do fill, I maybe have to put a stop in, in the middle of this green move. I'm sure you have an uptrend, and we have small size, so maybe we can give it down to this uptrend. My hard stop on this would be probably give it 70s, 69s right there. We'll see if this has any weight to it at all. A significant move though, ASTS. This is getting closer to that range. Let's just go take a piece off market right now. Let's start ringing the register. This would be a 5% cut. So we're cutting 1/20th cuts here, and we'll see if this can keep catching a bid to the upside. But ringing the register, we got an average of, we'll call it 90s. So from those 90s, a nice 6% move to the upside dating back to yesterday. And SPGC, giving up the ghost a little bit, we got 88s filled right there. We can maybe try and add more, but I just want to see it trade. Let me see some buying pressure, and then if it comes in on this next candle, maybe we can just wait for this uptrend as well. And is there any better way to set this? Maybe something like that. But a nice red candle coming on in. Let's see what the tape is looking like with this SPGC. Tight spread, one lot apiece. We got one lot on 85, so our price is actually at 85s. I can't see what our book looks like at 84s, which is what it's showing right here. But let's actually, my bad, I forgot this 16 to 18. Let's go ahead and ASTS. Let's go think about getting another order right off of that. We'll go right in the middle, and we'll do another 5% trim, and we'll go off of 417. We'll go right in the middle of that 16 and 18. So 417's print. Beautiful move on the name. 414's on a full green engulfing candle. Your green move on the day, boom, boom, boom. A nice stair step in your volume and a nice price action to the upside. Correlating with your volume always is key. GNS back up to 92s. Even if I'm not going to be doing this, but I wouldn't say that if it gave up 80s again, this could potentially be seeing a red move down to this neckline where you got this descending channel build right here. Something like that. And this can be adjusted with those wicks. So a lot of leeway with this, but setting up the descending channel look right there. Let's see if it can discredit that and push back up and try the reclaim 2s. I would say you're going to have some resistance in off the body top and the body low. But a good move getting back over top of this wick. I would say if it gets underneath of this wick right there, you could be seeing this sort of tight channel back down to the neckline. Might be a boring name for today. ASTS up to 15s. AMPS catching a nice little bid, setting up some sort of flat top right there. Volume is decreasing on this move. We got 8 minutes left here. What Warner Brothers do? A nice green candle close right there, testing up to that first low right there. Doesn't really have much there. I wouldn't be surprised if it fought through that and tested up to this 13. I think 13 has a little bit more resistance right there. But AMPS breaking for day's high. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Exactly what we wanted to see. It's too bad we don't have more size on this name. I will keep that in mind next time. That's a learning point that I can make from this. I had my alert off this flat top. We should have had it. As it was setting these wicks, we could have easily had this alert at like 640s or even like 638 where, we get triggered and we see this next candle. We had a lot of time to get this position built in right here. We probably could have had a little bit better start. I would have felt a lot better adding more size to that position than what we did as well. So a nice look on that. GFAI, nice hold of those lows. I still don't think this is territory to buy yet. But if this got over like 66, I think these lows over here, if I was putting an alert, I'd start with this 460. If it got over 460, it's flirting with that territory of putting in a green engulfing candle. But if it wants to trade back down, we have a nice neckline, a small neckline here at 225 or at 425s. ASTS, did that give us a fill right there? 415 high, 415 high. Geo still holding up strong. NVAX turned green. You can see that wick low coming back down to yesterday's low. A nice hold. Let's see if this can start catching a bid. N-phase, a nice 2% day, testing these lows. Is it going to be able to fight through that? I'm not opposed to even adding more if this claims up to 130s. But N-phase, love the name, love the setup. I actually think it looks kind of like a short testing this downtrend and these previous lows. But hopefully this can get pushed back down where we can add some more size down in here in these 120s. In the lower 120s. SPGC, leaving that wick top, kind of setting up the flat top break. If this wants to give up the ghost, we'll just end up cutting the name. But not too much buying, excuse me, not too much buying pressure coming on in for the name. Baba with a nice move, gaps up, tries to show weakness down to the gap, trades. You see the selling pressure coming in the middle of that first red candle. Next candle, boom, a nice green candle right up to the highs, and now getting that continuation. This looks really good. And where it happens at, reclaiming positive strength yesterday, gapping up. I wouldn't be surprised to see this be able to push, 95s. If you wanted to take the wick lows right there, 94 half to 95, and then after 95s, you got the gap fill at 95.70, and after that, you got the flat top here at 99.22s. So setting up pretty good in my opinion for continuation. I mean, if this pulls back into upper 80s, we will be probably buying some more. Humble opinion. We'll see how it goes. But SPGC, let's go back and look at the tape on this. Bids actually stacked on 89s. Now it took those out. We have one lot on 91s, 6 lots on 87s. Now the bid's stacking on 90s again. Oh, took them out quickly. So the bids are trying to push it up right now. And we're stacked on 90s again. It took out the 91s there. So let's see if we can, we got 2 lots on 89s. Let's see if this price can hold. We think that this has potential. We would have been interested around that 280 for adding some more size, but we're comfortable. We're comfortable right now. We're not looking to get into an uncomfortable position. But GNS, you can see it, the wick coming into the middle of this red move right here. Candle is trying to turn green, but really giving the look like we're going to be descending channel back down into this neckline is what I would say. Warner Bros, nice continuation, 13 before you know it, breaking over top of those lows. Continuation, 13 before you know it. Mara, look at that pump. Look at that pump. How about that neckline break right there? Setting up that flat top, boom. It just never came and gave us that pullback into this range. But a nice pump. I would say outs for 212 or 225 or 1225. Yeah, it's a nice move right there. Very nice move. SPGC, let's see what we're looking like right here. 3 lots on 87s, no size really coming on in yet. Let's take a look at my PMW. PMW. Let's take a look at PMW. PWM, I meant. Oh boy. Oh boy. We're getting extremely close to that area down there where we have it alerted. Here's 550s. Here's the gap. Oh man, it's going to be put my money where my mouth is when we get down there. I'm going to be a little bit timid. This one is going to be all eyes on deck if we get there. All eyes on deck. ASTS putting a, nope, 415 still the highs. We're right there at those 415s. 2 minutes left on this candle. SPGC leaving a nice wick into the middle of that green move. Potential. If this is able to reclaim threes, we could be seeing a nice push up where 315s is going to be that first trim area that we have set. AMPS. Wick top up to 67s. BTI, I haven't talked about BTI. Given the gap up, didn't have too much weakness. Holding, given a nice flag pattern. But the volume really actually coming in on this candle. Nice green candle. End phase, reclaiming 28s, getting over top of 2750s. Get out of here. Get out of town. We really want to see this name get rejected down. Yeah, not so stupid of a buy now. Huh, Drift? Tell him, Drift. Come on. Just kidding. This is the first couple candles that's been trading above that. I crack myself up sometimes. I'm only waiting for my ERL shares. ERL shares. Shit. Oh shit. $12 a share on Upstream. I would just, not financial advice, but if you can get $12 a share for your GNS shares on Upstream, I would just take it. I don't know much about it though. I don't know if that calculates any type of share split in with that. ERL, is that a share? Is that a company? Let's go take a look. ERL. I don't think so. ERL, you'll have to explain that for me. Siri? Is Siri gonna get going again? Man, that was an insane move. Yeah, we took way too much off, way too early on this. Talk about a nice uptrend. Do you want to take a guess where we took some shares? It's too bad. We only had like freaking 10 shares for that, for sevens. I think this 650 is what we classified as resistance right there and said, yep, we got what we wanted. It's too bad though. Always in hindsight. But now, look at that move to the downside. Let's look at the daily chart on Siri. Probably an uptrend. Nice uptrend hold. That's 1, 2. Doesn't have that third point, but here's your third point. That fourth point of contact on a 4 hold could be something there. Resort on the MERJ Exchange International. Yeah, I don't know much about that. So I'm guessing that you're on top of that. Yeah, I've never heard of it. ERL shares. Is that still related with GNS? I'm not entirely positive. GNS holding these 190s, wicking down towards that 150 range. Isn't a half bad look on the daily candle look, but you can see, let's see this get discredited. If this wants to discredit this, we can probably still adjust this a few more times. Just to be safe, we're going to pull it out just a little bit more. I'm learning a lot from you in a few days than in a year by myself. I'm glad to hear that. It's all about getting better. I try to get better every single day, and I'm going to challenge every single one of the people on this stream that tune in to try and get better with me every single day. Mistakes are going to be made. We're aware of that. We are already content that mistakes will be made, but it's about learning from the mistakes and moving forward with a positive manner. We're always going to try and stay positive and never let one particular thing get us down. So I mean, with that being said, I'm glad that you're learning a lot, Charles, and we're glad to have you here. You're always welcome on the stream. Mara, nice pump, man. We just identified it just a little bit late. Could have played that flat top. Would have been a nice print on the name. Acer, still showing continuation. That name is pumping. SPGC showing 288s right here. We should have the open of the next candle. Let's go see what the tape's looking like here. 10 lots off 86. I would say setting a close beneath my levels off of this beginning. Let's see light volume. I want to see lighter volume than this red candle here, but a nice wick of buying, potentially closing that candle. NASDAQ short really giving up the ghost. Really giving up the ghost. I'd say how do we act when we retest this sort of neckline? You can see when we break it, trying to hold, gives it up a little bit. Boom. One final test in the higher low. Now testing these 850 lows. Let's see what the daily levels look like. Flirting right around that middle ground in strength. So I'd say if you flip this upside down, that is the NASDAQ long. The NASDAQ long getting close to a positive break, where your short's getting close to a negative break. I would still say you have some pretty decent support around this 1850. Potentially down the 18 flat looks pretty decent as well. A significant move, BAC testing up, getting over top of those 29 lows. Here's your 29 low. Testing this 21. Dividend gets paid, so I expect some volatility to the downside probably after the dividend gets paid. But really good ads on this name. We really didn't start hitting reloads until this 29 flat level. You can see this sort of gaps up, tries to trade down, can't fill it, has a sneaky gap right there. But then trades down and holds this 2850s. We even got one fill around 28, around this sneaky gap right here. We were on the bid for 2807s, just never got the fill, which is too bad. It would have been nice to get an extra fill down there, but always in hindsight. Uh, we stuck to our plan very well. And GNS catching a bid isn't going to be able to reclaim twos right here. More so, even more so discrediting, but it still has to fight through this body candle low from the open. If it's able to do that and claim twos, it's probably going to have some resistance in those twos as well. And here's those tops. But then also, all up through here. So if this moves all the ways through that, it's gonna have a tough battle ahead. But that doesn't mean that it can't overcome that. Neo catching a nice little bid, man. How about that? Let's remove everything. Go to the daily. How about orders? Even if it looks like it's a bad report, I haven't looked at it, so I don't really know enough about it, but that 955 gap right there, and even getting very close to those 40s, if you just had orders right off that 950, boom, would have been a beautiful wick. SPGC catching a bid. Let's see what the bid's looking like. Just a 7-cent spread. The bid's actually at 85s right now. So by no means is this out of the water yet, but it did chip away some 92s. That's why it's showing it right there. Only a slight volume increase, and a lot of selling came in this washout top right here. And even following into the next candle, a lot of red volume came in, so we don't think that this name is in the clear yet. But one thing that I will say is this trend line on FVRR is probably not going to change. How about that action? We can move that up just slightly so it gets that wick touch right there. How about that? FVR having a nice day. I'd say your neckline break is call it a, just to be safe, call it a 2875 break. If that comes into play. We actually might even average up on the position, but if this comes back down to this trend line, I think this is respectable trend line to start trying. Baba seeing a little bit of a wick resistance. That is fine. Warner Brothers wicking up to that. What's the high on the candle? 96 coming on in. You can look at that S. You see that S formation? That S, where you set a wick top, you put a green candle through that wick top, and then you retest the wick tops, maybe even the bodies. I'd say this has pretty good support from that 1282, 1285, up to 1288, 1287, give or take. So let's see if the buyers can hold it up above that range. AMPS, nice sideways churn, kind of light volume, even the candles before. So gonna need some time for this to work out some levels more than likely. BAC giving up 29s. Geo still holding decent. GM a nice little green day, nothing to brag about. But just like that, AMPS giving that continuation. Look at that volume increase. We were just looking at it down here, and boom! Look at the volume is still coming on in. 5K on this candle and giving a churn to the upside. That is what we want to see. SPGC. Still kind of trading in this range. Let's see what the bid. We got 17 lots now stacked on 289s. So we'll see if this can get going. If this can push through threes, we feel pretty good about it. Devon's still flirting around that 50-50 range. GNS tap twos. I seen two right there. Hold on. GNS. Did that tap twos? It sure did. It got to a 202 high, so testing up to this body candle low, kind of these wick highs, but really discrediting this first initial candle. If this needs to trade sideways for a little bit, let's see a higher low come in. I would expect some good. Let's just clear out the chart for a second here. We can keep this marked in there. We don't need this. It is rejecting it, so maybe we can keep that right there around those 199s. But looking for some downward. We'd expect some buyers in the middle of this green candle. But the wick top for this candle was 93. So let's see what type of buying pressure that can get off 93s. And just a wick. We still have 5 minutes left on the candle, so need some time. NVAX turned red. GNS at 2. Let's go look back at that TIGR. I don't like the decreasing volume on the move up, but still a notable green move. I would say it's possible we have this downtrend set incorrectly. There's probably a little bit of leeway to the upside right there. So I'd say you're probably wicking into that downtrend, but still notable. If this wanted to come back in to 375s, we really like it there. And I don't know what happened to this, but we had the start of the gap, which was the wick low. Man, we could have been in on a really good one today off the wick low if I just stayed true to it. Sometimes you gotta trust what you mark. Sometimes you just gotta watch it at least, see if there's any action off it. 17 lots off 88 for SPGC. Let's go back to a 15. We'll see if this uptrend can kind of hold right here. I'd say just giving it some leeway. You probably go from like right there. Not a half bad look. Mara on an absolute monstrous pump. I would say to 1225, that's profit take area. There's no chance we can hold into regards and say to ourselves, yep, let's punch it. No, I think if we were punching, we'd be looking for a quick scalp. But who knows? Maybe it continues to rip. We just missed the move on this one. It's plain and simple. And I mean, just looking at the monstrous level that this had right here. We weren't really watching it on this day, but when we just were scrolling through some of our tickers, we seen that, hey, it wicked into this level. Just a monstrous sort of flat top break that it had right here. I would say the same people that probably bought this sort of flat top break, buyers probably just coming back in. It's probably the same exact buyers, honestly. But who knows? Probably a a group of a slew of different buyers coming in, but I would say that's probably the same buyers that are controlling that stock. Personal opinion. Personal opinion. Tisha. Let's take a look. Nice green move. We don't see nothing there. Large volume increase. Don't want to see that. COSK. Who was it that came in drift? I was talking about this name. Somewhere over here, he had a dandy of an entry. I said, hey, looks good for continuation. Boom. Retracement. I would say, look at this. Double top into your 702. Bearish. Discrediting the wave pattern, though. Look at that. There's your 702. You're looking for a flush down underneath that support and rejecting that low. Well, we're above that low. So I'm not surprised to see a nice pump right here because the setup is already telling you that, hey, we're supposed to reject 5 right here and give another leg down. And now holding above 5, pretty decent look there. SPGC still holding this 92. Let's see what the tape's looking like. 21 lots on 90s, so the bid continuing the stack. We only got 1 lot on 94s. 1 lot on 94s to fight through right here with 21 lots on 90s. Let's see if we can punch through this. PayPal. I didn't even notice. Shot right through those 62s. Man, oh man, oh man. Even a nice trend line build. So if this does want to come back in, testing these 61s, you know, it's probably a decent ad. And SPGC punched through those 94s. Hold on, at least one of them went off the tape there. We have one. Now we got 22 lots on 92. Bid is stacking. We don't have much size on this name, so I'm not going to make it sound like it is perfect. But it did punch through those 90s. We only have 89s on the bid, which is the level we want to see hold. Looking at the tech names, I didn't even notice that the tech names look significantly strong. Tesla up 4.7%. Nvidia significantly up. Apple, Microsoft up over 1%. ASTS back up to those 415s. My bad, I was drinking some water. Back up to these 415s. I wouldn't be surprised to see 17s print. But see if it can get some continuation after that. 94s, let's see. Only 1 lot off 94s still. FVR claiming 28s. Beautiful move. Baba's seeing some resistance back into these 9350s. I'm just watching it to see if it can hold. BAC gave up 29, still hovering around that area. ASTS, new day's high. We need 1 more penny for a print, and that will be another print for the name. So where's those 90s at? 90s. We're looking for 17. That is looking at 7% move on the name. Getting a nice start to that position. That is what we like to see. Geo still kind of fighting around right here. Not surprised. You can see that these lows kind of is the start of that flat bottom. Gives 1 test up. Is it going to be able to trade down and hold 7s, though, is the question. But just keeping my eye on ASTS. We got 3 lots stacked on SPGC. Is this going to be able to catch a bid? Light volume on this candle. The candle is closed. We're a minute into the next candle. Just light volume. When there's light volume, it takes a little bit of time, but this next candle will come on in, and I'm pretty confident that if this breaks 3, we're going to see a little bit more volume coming in than what we're seeing right now. But gotta hold these 80s. We'll say 83s, you know, give it the trend line. 80s is what we really want to see it hold. If it comes down in the 80s, we feel that our risk reward is decent right there, and we can give it 10 penny risk. Let's see if I can break these 94s though. We keep having these small lot sizes on 94s that's just struggling to break through. So let's see if we can start getting some movement. ASTS still hasn't printed us on that fill. AMPS given a pullback candle, that's fine. This was a nice green move. I would expect buyers to be coming in off of a retest of those 60s. Warner Brothers given a nice, each one of these wicks, so pullback candle number 1, even though it's a green candle, you get the intraday gap down, filled the gap, so it already checked that box, and now an indecision candle, and now also continuing to leave a wick. I would expect good buying pressure off of these upper 80s right here. SPGC, now we have one lot of 93s. We're actually sitting down here at 88. So it shows 94s right here, but we're actually at 88. You're alright, Charles. Take your time. Take your time. Baba trying the, you see the same S pattern right here on Baba as you see with Warner Bros. See that S pattern right there? It's honestly a very bullish setup in my opinion. Just you take out the highs, retest the highs. Sounds good, doesn't it? Take the high out, retest the high. Take the high, retest the high. GNS rejecting, so I'm just going to readjust this to these wick tops right there. I still think that this is potential, and just going through the body candles like this, I would say that you still have a descending channel that needs to be respected. Now, if we set a green candle close above that, it'd be a lot tougher. It'd be more difficult to draw that out like this because it would be discredited. But you can see the selling pressure coming in into this resistance level. Not out of the woods yet, is what I like to say. ASTS still hasn't printed those 17s, but we think that we can print it. You know, I probably could just take a market order off right now. It's really not that big of a deal, but we are going to stay true to the plan that we have set. F sale up 9% on the day. Nice volume increase, taking out the highs. If this pulled back into this wick high, you know, these these 140s don't seem half bad. Six lots stacked on the bid for 290s. So let's see if this can continue holding end phase. Really giving a nice move. All in all, I'd say this is a good move. Even if it rejects and has to come back down to these low 120s again, we are going to be buying it. Warner Brothers, before you know it, she's going to be printing 13s. I'd be shocked if Warner Brothers didn't print 13s today. Devon, kind of setting up a flat bottom break. Boom. We see a red candle come in. Let's see it. If it can come back down into this trend line, we'll think about some ads. But I think we can adjust that trend line sort of like that. Where that's meaning in on a 49 flat, give or take. GNS, given the look, like this is not a pretty look. I don't like to see it fall in channels. This is going to take some time, probably. But before you know it, you know, if it keeps following this trend, before you know it, back down to this neckline. Warner Brothers printing at the day's high. Just a little bit more churn, and we'll see this name print 13s before you know it. Just give it a little bit of time. Just a little bit of time. 7.5 minutes left on the candle. This candle closed with 68K, so on this breakout candle, if it exceeds 68K, I mean, I don't know how you draw something up better than that. End phase, continuing the churn, testing up to those wick tops. Baba with a nice, look at that candle coming on in. Now you do got to be worried about red candle closes like this, because you're expecting some type of selling pressure in those. So if this actually is setting this type of pullback candle and green candle on the second candle, it gives me the feel like, hey, watch out for the stair step where you get a red candle come on in. And this is where I'd probably be setting some orders right in near the test of this wick low, where you start seeing that third candle start wicking, and then a retest back up into here, and then one final retest of 90 of these wick lows before you see it a high break. So there's a bear setup and a bull setup in the middle of this. Right now the bears are first in line to take their setup. So you can see this wick coming on in the middle of this red move. The open of this next candle, you could see a red candle come on in, test to these lower 93s where you have this wick low neckline. And what I mean by wick low neckline, we switch to a 1 minute chart. You see how we set the low, false break, catches a bid, set that double top, higher low, take out that high, bull flag pattern right here, take out the high and you churn to the upside. Now you retest this high. Now here's your stair step where it flat bottoms break. With the flat bottom break comes in, you test this original neckline before you start building this U shape. So I don't like going to a 1 minute. But for the example, that is what I potentially be looking for right here. And it honestly could catch a bid off of this, but this is why I don't use a 1 minute. Because, I mean, I already have that level marked out right here. I have no need to really put anything there. And just like this, we're going to be right in. And if you take too much credit to that 1 minute chart, you're going to fake yourself out way too much. So just stick with a 15 minute. We didn't need a 1 minute chart to say, hey, this could see some resistance in the middle of this red move. We didn't. We didn't. Simple as that. And just like that, we're already below that, so you'd already be trying to fake yourself out saying, oh, that neckline didn't get nothing. I'm out of it. And before you know it, it trades down here, and you're like, oh, I made such a good choice. And then before you know it, it's trading and taking out the highs, and you're like, dang it, why did I get rid of it? It's just stick with what works for you. If you can trade a 1 minute chart, by all means, go for it. Go for it. I'll tip my hat to you. But I would say that, I got a set of rules that works for me, and that 1 minute isn't a part of it. GNS trying to wick into these lows right here, leaving a little bit of wick pressure, but still larger red volume right here. You can see if this is 1, 2, 3 of increased red volume, you do have a large wick of buying right here. So I wouldn't say that this is a perfect bear setup. But if it starts rolling over before you know it, you could be seeing this name test in down to these 150s. So keep that in mind. ASTS, did it print 17s? Nope, it didn't. 1 penny off. Could have put it right off 16s. AMPS, still trading right at the day's high. SPGC, we have 24 lots stacked on 90s, 6 lots on 93s. A lot of these crypto names really pumping, and oh my goodness, look at Mara. It's going to push for this low. It's going to push for that 1325 low, maybe even the gap fill at 1350. Beautiful look there. SPGC, still trading in right at this range. 24 lots on 90s. Is it going to have the strength? Showing patience on this position. If it works out for us, we'll take the position that we got for a win. But if it goes against us, we can average more in off these 80s is what we're looking for. But you can see sort of the channel to the downside if it's not able to fight through this. Or there's your catalyst for your uptrend test. And not a perfectly set channel. So we'll take those off. EBS. Remember when we were trading this up here at the, oh man, it was Where was it at? Where was it at? We were trading it off this neckline, higher low, neckline break right there. Made a nice trade off of it, but it is what it is. This is where your strength is your best friend. You never reclaim that positive. Now in this oversold area, now we're getting some volume increase. Now taking out the lows. So anybody long here, losing their butts. I don't know why I keep losing that. 5% to the downside. I would say let it trade back in at least to this gap. I'm going to be waiting for sevens. Where's PWM? PWM, where you at? PWM, stand up. Stand up. Oh, that alert's going to trigger us. Man, that 550 is going to be interesting. What's the volume looking like? Super light volume. Seeing some resistance. Warner Brothers not quite able to put. It did get another print up to 97s though, so kind of a washout top by that is candle number 2. Here's candle. I wouldn't call it. I'd say 1, 2. 2 indecision candles, and we got a minute left, so could close red. But down here at these upper 80s, I think is where you're gonna see that support overtake the selling pressure. That wick top is a bit scary though. A lot of times if I ever see this setup get discredited, it's because there's a wick washout top. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but a lot of times when I see it, and same could be said for GNS, where this is a washout bottom, and trades in, holds a level before you know it. I'd look at this 197 as a neckline if this is a confirmed higher low from this wick. So in that 197 break probably has to push to and hold to, but it would discredit this sort of tight channel to the downside. 14 lots on 292s now for SPGC. Baba still holding 55, so let's go back to that 1 minute chart. I wouldn't be surprised to see a red candle give that stair step look. Well, look at this 1 minute chart. If you would have said, that neckline didn't get nothing, time to get out. Well, now it's holding support and you risk it still. This is a nice neckline build right here at 93s. I still think that this gives a flat bottom break. You can see the flat bottom setting up. Let's break that, test down to this neckline down here, call it 93.25, where you have the body candles. This is your leg down. Maybe you could say these tops, maybe even the tops right here, but that's kind of where stops are expected to be. So I would hold, and this does pull over to this body candle high. So maybe you see a washout bottom and reclaim, but I would hold more regard to this 93.33 to 93.20. AMPS still sitting at another day high print on AMPS. PayPal given who? Oh man, there's your nut up or shut up candle right at that. Not necessarily the greatest look right there. Why'd we mark 62s? The body candle right there tries to hold, gives it up, reject, reject. Yeah, PayPal has a pretty dandy of a setup. It reclaimed that oversold fairly quick, but oh man, we are so tempted to buy some PayPal. Why can't it just pull back in? Why didn't we said we weren't gonna be shy at buying this underneath 60 again? We were just so interested in some other names. This red candle giving out these lows just scared us a little bit. Kind of caught us off guard, just a wee bit. But clear value name in my opinion. Baba's still holding these 93.50, so I mean you could have got faked out again on that give of 90s, or just have the entry. That's what I'd say about these Chinese names. Don't try to trade them. Just punch long into them, my opinion. You can see this nice candle coming on in. Nice hold. This is 1, 2, candle number 3 starting to show you the move. SPGC. Let's see if that was able to take out those lots at 93s. It was not. And we have 24 lots on 90s and 23 lots on the ask at 93. So a battle taking place right here. Is it going to be able to give you that green candle move? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Yeah, I think we can move Neo down into this group here. But the rest of the names we are sticking tight with. All names that we own, dude. Is there any names in here that we don't own? Nope, GFAI, but we still like this sort of setup, so we'll keep this on here. But that's the sole name that we don't own here. And you're like, dude, you own the NASDAQ short? Bet your sweet bottom I do. Bet your sweet bottom I do. AMPS, catching more of a bid, just a nice churn to the upside. We can think about maybe an out. Ah, man, I don't know. Let's just hold this one. Getting into that overbought area, that's where we like it. That's where we like it for continuation. Disney, I would like to see an influx of volume to discredit this bear flag, but it does have notably higher volume on these two candles. Warner Bros. Still sitting in the middle of that S pattern. This is candle 1, 2, 3. Wicking down just a little bit lower down to those 89s. Those upper 80s is pretty decent support. You probably have a tight channel that's trying to follow here. I would say right into those 87s. I wouldn't be surprised to see it wick into there. Boom, get bought up instantly. ASTS given a nice bull flag. You got the increased volume. A little bit of increased volume on this red candle, so something to monitor there probably. GNS, let's look back. Still trading inside of that channel, so nothing to brag about yet. GMBL, nice necklines, tight bull flag right there. Let's see what the daily chart's looking like here. It has quite a bit of resistance, but getting out of that oversold area is a good first step. BKKT. Been a while since we looked at this name. What's that retracement? Yeah, would have never had anything convincing that would have said, yeah, let's punch in here. But these crypto names really catching a bit, and look at that candle on Mara. Man, we had it identified, we just weren't there for it. Nikola. I still think it looks like a short. Even though we got out yesterday's candle, it is what it is. Got really close to those 116 gap. You know, we could have at least gave it that gap for a chance. That's the one thing I would say is we could have had our out underneath of the gap. Able to take out some of that size off of 93s. Only 7 lots on 93s here. AMPS continuing the print days high. BAC reclaim 29s. Let's see if it can show continuation over that wick top. NVAX still just kind of hovering sideways. It might need to trade down to 805 first. ASTS still trying to hold these 410s as support. We got one print on the name at 14s. Warner Brothers still just an indecision candle. A lot of time left on this candle. When it takes out this high, and that's a big indicator right there. Look at this washout top. When we set this new high right here, that volume not being high enough was probably a deciding factor and to pass the rules for somebody that maybe short this back in. But if it gets over top of that, I wouldn't be surprised to see that guy have a tight stop and looking to push or pump that name higher if it gets over top of that. GNS still trading right in the range. The go-to. I mean, we said it. When the go-to gets going, the go-to gonna go. When the go-to get going, go-to gonna go. Earnings tomorrow, pre-market Wednesday. Keep that on watch. But wouldn't be surprised to see a massive gap up over top of 440s. Test up to the highs tomorrow. Just, I know that sounds crazy. Test up the highs tomorrow. We're looking at a 50% gap up. I wouldn't be surprised to see it. Would not be surprised to see it. SNBR. What's Path looking like? I forgot to take a look at Path. Ah, man, why are we not in this name? Why are we not in this name? Talk about a monstrous channel. Talk about a monster channel. Baba up to 93.70s. Look at how you would have got faked out of this. Oh, this neckline right there. Oh, it's gonna give it up. Oh, it's gonna give it up. Oh no, why did I get out? Still not out of the woods yet, but I mean, look at the 15-minute, it'll tell you the story. Stair step doesn't come on in, holds this previous high right here beautifully. Wouldn't be surprised to see it just churn up and see a large volume influx off 94 break. SPGC still just sitting in this range. Still got the same 23 lots on 90s, super light volume. Volume uptick a little bit right here. Is it going to be enough to push these 93s? We've only got 2 lots on 93s, so I mean it's trying, but I just don't know if it's going to be able to have the insides to push it. End phase testing this flat top, doesn't need to pull back in the 2750s, which is your flat bottom break. Didn't even reject it at all, just shot right through it. Now if it holds it, pretty good look. AMPS finally showing a red candle. Jesus. 3 minutes 50 seconds left. Still has a little wick of buying, so a little indecision built in there. Geo pushing the highs, getting over top of those 710s. That is not what I was expecting. Honestly speaking, I was not expecting that. The market will always throw a curveball at you and do something that you're just not looking for. That would be Geo. I would not have looked at Geo today and said, yep, it's going to push over 710. But a nice hold of 7, if you're running tight stops underneath 7, which is your support level, just look at these lows down here. 96 is a new low. Boom, you get wicked out. Just like that, you would be sitting here like, man, what the heck is going on? Is what you'd be selling yourself. Warner Brothers in these upper 80s. This is candle number 3. You can see that wick got down to 88s. 88s, very close to those 87s. We could see those 87s come on in here. Let's just move this channel down just a little bit. Just like, oh, I just had it. Just like that. Probably could be a little bit more like this though. Get those wick tops in just like that. And you could say it's more so like this. Boom, just like that. SPDC. End phase, is that a new day high print? Getting darn close. Getting darn close. It is a new high print, so printing new day's high, but right into that downtrend that we have set. Wicking into it for now. Warner Brothers holding 90s. You can see the indecision and the buying pressure off of those. Does it get down to 87s? 88 lows. End phase back up to the day high print and pushing higher. God, I should have more size on that name. GNS still trading in the channel. Nothing to change there. Warner Brothers catching a bid. Nice setup here. Beautiful setup. End phase push. Are we going to see a 29 push? You know, let's take a look at this downtrend. Is there any other way that we can set this downtrend? That's the most we can set it right there. That getting up to these lows right here, you know, 29.50. If it reclaims 130s, I wouldn't be surprised to see this name just pump. GNS acting like it's going to break lower. Looking for the flush to come through. Take a look at Grom, a nice sideways chop action. Nothing decisive on the volume. F-cell, nice churn. Open, nice churn, taking out the highs. Nice flat top break right there at this 360. Even pushing through clear outs into the 90s. Go EV, did they share split? Oh, that's Gov. Oh, that's Gov. No, it's not Go EV. Soundhound showing that move through that. There would have been no way to set that channel through with that move. You would have just had to play the level. That is a beautiful look. It's been a while since I've looked at this name. Wow, look at that look. You seeing this look drift? I don't know if you're there or not. Man, this has long written all over it. Talk about a resilient trend line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Talking about 17 points of contact on a frickin' trend line. I don't have it. Gotta be frickin' kidding me. I mean, at that point, what am I doing here? You know what I mean, Drift? What in God's name am I doing? I'm trading a name with, you know, does have a little bit of volume increase. I'm trading this instead of something with 17 points of contact on a trend line. Lord. Talk about showing some patience on this name. Warner Brothers catching a bid. 94s starting to show. Oh, look at that candle close right there. Oh, this is getting ready. This is getting ready. I don't know how to set this any better than that, but that close above that, we can take that out. Let's see if we can get bullish here. We said upper 80s. I mean, that's does the 88s classify as upper 80s? Can somebody in the chat tell me? Like a book. I mean, still has some time to take out, but I would be shocked if this didn't at least test 13 and get rejected at the bare minimum. Mr. Drift is here. Yeah, what was that name? Where is it at? ATHM, I think it is. ATHM. Auto Home. 17 points of freaking contact on this trend line. Probably not a perfectly set trend line. But I mean, good lord. What am I doing? Why am I not long on this? The earnings are out of the way. Put up gap of 56 cents for a $30 company. Not terrible. Let's think about maybe finding a long. I mean, could get rejected. If this comes back in anywhere near this 29.25, even like the body tops right here. I mean, it's got to the point where, you know, this needs to build a long in here. This is going to be a buying window for me. If it works out, and who knows, maybe this is the time we actually get the flush. 17 points of contact, maybe more, but the next one would fail. Yeah, I'd have a hard time thinking that. I'd have a hard time thinking that. Where, I mean, look at this flat top build right here. Right off the gap down. This is your sell window right there. What's our percent from the trend line? We'll go from the middle of that buy. Hoofda. Hoofda. DFCO. Let's take a look. DFCO. DFCO. Is this that same one from yesterday? I think it is. Already showing volume increase from yesterday. Held the level beautifully. Held 18 cents. Was a nice level. I have a nice flat top build. This could be setting up drift. You might be on to something here. We're a 20 break. It actually has a little bit more volume to go off of. Still not much. So this 15 minutes is going to be a little bit choppy. But yeah, I mean, as soon as it breaks at 20, it's going to be nut up or shut up candle for you. But on this 15-minute candle, 30K of volume, I would add it to the watch list, but my watch list is full. I literally can't add any more tickers to the watch list. Warner Brothers, look at that. Look at that nice little churn. I would say it looks good, Drift. Depending on the entry, it just doesn't have enough volume for me to say to myself that, yep, I need to take this breakout. But I mean, looking at it, if I had it on this move, here's your positive break right here. You're flirting up. I'd probably be looking at it as like a 702. So maybe when that 702 gets discredited, pull back into 15. You have some built-in support wicking down towards those 15s. I mean, it looks good. It just taking this breakout, I would risk getting that washout top, and then all it would take is for this to come. So I mean, if you have the dandy entry anywhere from like 18.5 down to like 15, or maybe you have an entry lower, it's worth holding for this breakout. Maybe you can just be on the ask for like a small order off of those 20 flats. But I mean, after that, I mean, you can see your retracement, your next extension, and this is a flat top building up. This 20 cents is a level, but you can see that first extension. I'll just map that out over to here. Your second extension probably meeting in with these lows. Here's your flat bottom break. Boom. You even get a test before it goes. I would say right in off that second extension. I wouldn't be surprised to see this printing up into those upper 20s. Maybe even in the 30. It looks pretty darn good. I'm not going to lie. I'll give you credit where it's due. It's a good look. Geo, still giving that churn to the upside. Baba back down to these 90. This was one candle behind, if I do recall. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we have 3 candles. Now, if it kind of puts that stair step down, you'd be thinking, okay, descending channel all the way. All the way. But if it holds this level and starts wicking into this, as soon as this channel gets discredited, I wouldn't be surprised to see a high break take place on the name. And you can see continued wicks into those 50s. I'd say 50 is your line in the sand right here. You can have your outs underneath these lows if you're worried about a flush. But based off the daily candle, you know, maybe it does need to pull back in the upper 80s before it really gets going. But I mean, I don't know how else you can draw up a better chart setup. That is a beautiful looking channel. If it comes back into those upper 80s, anywhere near that, that's where the company, you got the big buyer from the company there. But even looking at it from this perspective, you have the ascending channel build and a long-term channel. This is the start of this is back in August, over a year. Over a year of channel build right here. And it would have been tough to map this out when it was like this. But now that we're seeing this, I mean, if we're talking top end of the channel actually coming forth right here. I mean, for a quality, high-tech, or a large moat. Hold on, my bad. Off topic. Warner Brothers up to 13. Are we going to see that 13 print? I mean, I don't know how you draw up a better setup than that. I mean, that's a can of corn. That's a can of corn right there. Absolute dandy of a setup. SPGC putting in a green candle. Did it take out the size off 93s? Still not able to take out that size of 93s. Just not any convincing volume either. It's not good enough to say, yep, we can punch in for more. I'm still waiting for this trend line, and that's how we're going to continue waiting to play for it. Just map. Oh, what did I do? Redo that. Holding above 2750s, I'd say we have this downtrend set how we want it. Maybe there's a way that we can put it like this where, okay, it's breaking the downtrend, but I just don't see that yet. SPGC actually did take out that size finally. Let's see what those 94s are looking like. We only have 2 lots on 95s. Is this going to get going? Baba sitting, and there is the 13 print, so I wouldn't have lost any type of bet. I would have bet my bottom dollar off of this setup that this was going to test 13s. As soon as it really, especially as soon as it claimed those 1294s. I mean, I mean, you can't, that's a drop in the bucket right there. I've seen this setup enough times to say that this was going to test 13s, but now we're into resistance. Does it start rejecting it? But taking out the highs on a nice bull flag continuation play, I would expect, even if it pulls back, I'd expect 1294s to be really good support. Baba giving up 90s or 93.50s, but still wicking into these lows. The wick low on this candle is 42s. Really giving the descending channel look here, where this S pattern, we called it out from the beginning. This was a different style of pullback compared to Warner Brothers. Look at Warner Brothers pullback. Indecision. You even got a washout top, kind of washing out some of those orders. Now that the price is over top of this wick, anybody who got that golden entry on this volume increase, they are out of the money now. They're put in a position where, like, dang, do I need to reload more size off of 13s? Oh man, but then if it gets over 13s, I would not be surprised in the slightest to see it. This is the more solidified flat bottom because it gives you the move, and then it tries the hold, and then boom, 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 triple top into that level. So, but then from 13, 14, 13, 15, whatever you want to call it, then you can look for 13s to start holding that support. I mean, that's beautiful setup, beautiful. DAC, a nice hold of 29s taking place right now. Ford actually reclaiming 12s. GM still showing that nice churn to the upside. We said that it looked like it could be a fan pattern, which is bear setup. Short term, obviously, as we reclaim 33s again. I would say mapping out your downside is you maybe have this flat bottom break where it breaks it, test, 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 test. Do we need to test these 3350s again? Possibly. FVR, yeah, the nice, that's not terrible. A nice green move. Let's switch over to the hourly and see what this is looking like. Nice hold. Does it need to pull back in first though? AMPS still holding as a nice green candle on the hourly, but one pullback candle, and is it going to be able to keep churning to the upside? This is a nice green move, a lot of green volume coming into this. Veil, a notable move, just absolutely just on a tear. Man, I cannot believe we don't have 1225s. I cannot believe that we don't have 1225s. Ridiculous. Even breaking through these lows here, that's just unbelievable. End phase, almost at day's high print again. This candle did print a high. Tested 29 flat. Warner Brothers right through 13s. Discrediting those lows, if you wanted to, you could say, oh yeah, I got through the wick lows, but your body is still sitting right here at 13 on 3s. ASTS, pullback candle number 1, Pullback candle number 2 with a little wick of buying. It looks like it did fill that intraday gap up at 408 on the money. Look at that, on the money, and now catching that bid. Now if this level can just hold right here, I wouldn't be surprised to see this go and print. Descending channel, easy to identify. I mean, you draw it up beautifully. You can wait for a break. If you were being patient on this name the whole time, I would say this descending channel could potentially be a nut up or shut up. If you wanted to wait, you can wait for that true 90-40 break. But I would say as soon as it breaks one way or the other, if it breaks to the downside, you have some gap buying that could take place, and then you have a potential flat bottom break that's setting up at 88. So we had an 87.30 gap for your downside risk. Warner Brothers continuing the churn, absolutely a nice look. Convincingly through those lows, we have a minute left, so it's still got to close above that. You know, this last minute it could wick back down in. But and there's a sort of a wick start right there, but a nice green candle on increased volume. What did I say? As soon as it takes out this high, whatever candle it does, I want to see that volume increase. When it takes out this high right here, you see how the volume doesn't increase? But when it takes it out right here, now we got an increased volume where this is 68K. This candle currently at 76K and 20 seconds left of volume to be tracked. Devon turning green, giving a nice, it was setting up the flat bottom, now kind of discrediting it, but still has to get over top of these 70s. You can see the tight channel to the downside kind of getting broken as well. Decent look here on Devon. GNS kind of discrediting it, but I'm going to adjust this one last time. I don't think we can adjust this any more than what we have. So let's see if it continues to follow this or not. Path. You mother, you know what. Trucker. That trucker. Pags. We should have an entry off 9 flat at the very minimum. Look at that neckline break. Test it. Whew. Pags. We wanted a long off Pags. Workiva getting up into this resistible level right here. Look at some losers on the day. PWM, let's take a look. Please tell me this is still in the red. Okay, we're still red. Wicking down towards that level though. You know, anywhere in this wick could catch a bid, honestly. Where your first wick lows and never set to close inside of these wicks. But you can see the descending wedge pattern down to the gap. K-view, what are we looking like here? In this range where, you know, looking at your commodity trend line right here, is it going to be able to set a higher low? This 28 or 2250 is holding, didn't even test down to it. Oh my good lordy. SPGC testing up to 3. SPG testing up 3. SPG testing up 3. Let's see if this can get in the breakout territory. Oh boy, we got 15 lots on 99s. 15 lots on 99s. That is not too much size to ask for. Giving a nice curl, testing up to this flat top. I mean, if you were going to set something in the sand, that 3 level is where you would set it. So let's see if this can give us anything right here. Baba still holding. There's that stair step candle. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of gives you the washout. Now I'd expect actually a wick to come into this red candle. So, you know, I still would say, you know, this is not out of the woods yet. Warner Brothers setting some price action right in tight with that sort of sell window that we had. Geo, we get it. We get it. You're catching a little bid. We get it. You're just trying to make me look like an idiot on the live stream. Nice little move on Geo. Notable. It's notable. GM now over 1%, getting over top of yesterday's high. GNS still just looks like a short, honestly. AMPS, we get it. You're strong. SPGC, okay, wicking into that 3. Not surprised at all. We only got bid at 290s right now. So, I mean, technically I would consider that as the price is actually only at 290s. That's where the buyers are willing to buy it. So until we see a confirmed break at 3 where the bid's actually stacked on 3s, I'm not buying any type of break at 3. I'm not buying the move. And when I say buying, I'm not talking about actually buying it. I'm talking about I'm not convinced that this is going to break 3 until I truly see it. Billy, who's asking about Billy? I believe it was, what's his name? What was his name? Somebody was asking about Billy. Nicola. Man, could have had a better execution on this name. I was honestly just ready to get rid of it. Mara, looks like it did fill those 28s. No, 28s was just flat top. The gap looks like it is actually at 50s. Looks like the gap is actually at 50s. Taking out a couple lots on 98s though. It was just 28 lots, now 17 lots. So buyers are trying to get it going. Are we going to see a significant move on this SPGC? AMPS right at day's high. I would be pretty shocked if this didn't show continuation, but it is a notable move, up 3.25%. Warner Brothers giving up 13s, which is alright. I would still expect good support off those mid 90s. Any idea why? Drift, Bitcoin moving up. Any idea why? Well, I would say that any short-term move just means that more liquidity taken off the books. That's the only reason anything moves. And we kind of said it yesterday where this is trading sideways. If this was going to break out, it'd be a neckline break at 26, or it'd be a flat bottom break at this 25 half. But all in all, you're still on a weak name. So if I had to bet anything, your true resistance, if this were to get up to 28, you can maybe look for a pullback. Uh, but I was also looking for a test of this high, but trying to hold higher lows. Looking at the weekly chart, you can see your weekly is still holding good strength. So by no means is this, I mean, the battle's still taking place. If this were to trade sideways long enough for on your daily chart, it just continues to hold this level. Let's say, it's nice pump on the day. I would say, looking at the 15-minute, way a nice two green candle move. Here's your bull flag. Actually, I'd expect the price just based off of this to keep going higher. Why? You have 1, 2, 3 candle move. 1, 2, 3. Two nice green candles. Now look at the consolidation. They're not large red candles into the middle of this red move or green move. So just mapping out this move, that first wicks and it's holding this first retracement area. Now, on a bull flag is the only time I'd take that in consideration. Well, now we're on candle number 4. If candle number 4 breaks this high and exceeds this volume, which this volume is 924, this pullback candle, indecision, you have wick buying, volume decreases on candle number 2, still a little bit of buying, a little bit of selling, but not an increasing red candle. And candle number 3, also decreased volume, but you can see that price holding that level, more buying than selling, in a smaller red candle than this candle and this candle. Now this candle turning green, you're not quite at your level yet, so maybe it needs to do something like this, where it catches a bid. I would mark out your candle body bottom and top. So if it caught a bid up to that area on this candle and this candle, I would look for it to just continue holding this price, maybe set some sort of higher low, but then this would be your flat top. As soon as that price takes out that flat top, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple green candles come on in and a leg higher. Now, if I was looking for a leg higher, right now I would have this wick low marked. You see, that is your wick top. As soon as you claim over top of that, okay, you could see a leg up to the top end, but kind of like Warner Brothers, how you have some trying to buy it, but you see how when it gives it up right away. You don't catch a bid off of that. Now here you see, here's your bottom, and it tries to have some buying off of that. So I'd say this 28.28 is more resistance, and then I would say your true flat bottom break from before was over here. So that is it going to be a resistance level, and the top end of the channel, or the top end of this range, is going to be resistance. So looking at back to the daily chart, I wouldn't be sold on any move until it truly gets back over 28. 28 half over top of this, which that even has some leeway where you take the body candles. This is where it really went south, and this is also where you have some sort of trend line rolling in right through there. But if it trades sideways long enough, this daily strength is going to be there. So looking at it right like this, the big players are around the middle ground. So if we're testing these lows around this middle ground, I'd say potentially could see it kind of churn, but then if it holds this from getting out of this oversold area, I wouldn't be surprised to see that positive break come on in, and we see this, hold this level and maybe test up to these highs, which You know, that's the resistance level. After that, you have this wick low right here. Wouldn't be surprised to see if it really got bullish. It could be looked at as some sort of retracement. So we'll cancel out everything. If this is a full retracement, here's your tops. Oops. If this is a full retracement, writing off these lows is your next retracement level at 36, and I'd always mark that 702. So at 702, you know, if Bitcoin got up to 53K and I was somebody that was convinced that the price was going to go down or it didn't deserve to be there, that 702 is where I'd be looking for sells or also shorts. I don't know how crypto works with shorting, but a nice move off. If I was a day trader and just looking to trade this, I would say this 3 candle move, this is getting in that area where I'm looking for a pullback more into this green move right here. So if it pulled back into, let's say 27 flat or maybe this wick top, that's where I'd have some sort of resting order sitting in right there. So Bitcoin on the day looks good. On the daily chart, I would say getting out of this oversold is a decent area, and a clean neckline break as well. That 26.5 right here is a neckline I'd look at. So as soon as if we look back to the 15, as soon as it really took that price, which actually looking at the 15, you could say this is a flat top it was building. It really didn't start going until it really pushed that price. You can see, boom, as soon as it pushes that price, that's when your volume increase also comes in, and it got up to this price very quick. So you're seeing, whoops. So you're seeing increased inflow of buying pressure coming on it. Just more liquidity is willing to be bought than sold at these areas. That's how I would look. I don't think there's anything that has fundamentally changed with Bitcoin. I'm not up to date with the news drift, but I don't think anything has fundamentally changed. It's just more buying than selling. That's what I would say about it. But a nice move. It is a nice move. And like I said, on your weekly, kind of like the NQ, where on the daily you had a negative break, but on your weekly you're still holding positive. I'm sure on the monthly it's flirting around that middle ground, so big players around this middle ground. So still has some factors to determine out. If it goes south, I wouldn't be surprised to see it printing down here near these highs again. And I'm still saying that, you know, I don't care if Bitcoin runs up to 100,000. I think one day we are going to see a back test of this neckline. Whether it takes 5, 10, 20 years, I don't know. But I do think that this neckline will get back tested in some way, shape, or form. Looking at it from a monthly chart, I would say you probably have a descending channel, which is your catalyst for, okay, here's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave structure. I'm not surprised to see an A, B, C sort of retracement. So 5 wave structure to the downside, ABC pattern to the upside. If we were to see this sort of double top into this channel, I wouldn't be surprised to see this looked at as a retracement as itself. So that'd be a wave 1, a wave 2. You see a wave 3 test the neckline. You see a nice pop for your neckline buyers. You see profit taking for your neckline buyers. I wouldn't be surprised to see it even trade lower below that neckline. Just because it trades at the neckline doesn't mean, oh, tested the neckline, sure thing, punch it long, good to go. No, I wouldn't look at it like that, but if this is the top of this retracement, which you can see doesn't really meet up with anything, so I'm not convinced that it is. But if it did get up to that 702, sort of up to these tops right here, we can put that retracement back in, up to these tops, I still would be in the cards where, you know, maybe if it's not a 5 wave structure, this is what your 5 wave structure would look like. It could just be a simple A, B, C, and then it can have a 5 wave structure to the upside where if this is your retracement to the down end, maybe a test up to these highs again. There's so many different ways of looking at it. Time will tell. I need more information for me to have more conviction, so I have no clue what it's going to do. But in terms of price action today, I would say more people willing to buy it than sell it. Simple as that. I'm sure there's news that's involved with it, but I don't look at that. I don't care about it. I don't want to hear about it, and I don't hold any regard to it whatsoever. Because a lot of times, and now I'm not saying that it's guaranteed, but a lot of times the news will follow the price action. It's just kind of how it works. It doesn't work like that every time, but I've seen it quite often where the news will follow the catalyst. Enphase, I mean, this is a great name. Great name. I've seen news catalysts that will come out with it where, oh, this is a terrible name. It's all about the bad forecast. Well, if this price were to be up in the 200s in 3 months from now, I can promise you that you're not going to be hearing much about that outlook. You're going to be hearing about how great of a company it is. Uh, but I mean, who knows? Time will tell. Back to this SPGC, I can see that it is rejecting these threes. At the end of the day, Drift, I'm just a guy, and I don't own Bitcoin. I don't short Bitcoin. I don't even participate in selling and buying crypto at this moment in time. If I was, I from time to time I take a look at Atom. I do hold Atom. Uh, my average is I'm in the red with it, but I mean, has anything fundamentally changed with Atom? No, I wouldn't say so. If I was looking to buy some Atom, I would probably want to buy some today if I really wanted to. But now that I can see that action confirming these sort of wick lows, maybe if it comes back into 7, maybe I can say, okay, I can think about averaging into it a little bit. But it's not a perfectly set channel, but I am playing into regards that this 6 low is an area where I'd be interested in buying it. So if this sort of gave up the ghost a little bit, uh, I will think about this as the neckline. It got super close to it, and not a clean double bottom look, but very, very close to it. And I'm going to be a buyer of Atom anywhere around 5. SPGC. Let's see if this can show some strength. It has a stair step look. Let's see a nice green candle come on in for the name. AMPS, I didn't even see AMPS printed another day's high. Just a nice churn on the name. Warner Bros. Still right around that 13 end phase. Catching some resistance off those 29s, that's fine. BAC, convincingly above those 29s now. DFS, what did we say? We said, pick a side. Pick a side. Downside, okay, we got a gap. Upside, okay. Look at the buying coming in off that. I'm tempted to go in and punch some. We'll hold off. We'll hold off for strength. There's a lot of green names today. I'm sure there's a lot of good movement. Let's just be patient with this name. Just because it's putting in a nice green candle doesn't mean that it can't trade back down here later on in the week, maybe next week. So we're going to be patient with this name. We like the position that we have. If it wants to rip higher, great. Our position is in a comfy area. Baba, still not really given any movement. Let's see. You can see the tight channel. You can see the tight channel. If it discredits this channel in any way, shape, or form, downside, you could see some pressure back down to the gap. Upside, I wouldn't be surprised if it breaks this tight channel to see a high break. GNS back down to those 80s. I would say this looks like it's going to keep moving to the downside. I would say until it discredits this channel in any way, shape, or form, I'm expecting more downside action on GNS. It is what it is. Getting a call. Be right back. And we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Got a buddy. AMPS continuing the print days high. How about that move drift? Not what we thought was going to happen, but that is the power. That is the power of strength right there. Testing up towards these highs. A significant move. I mean, if we just said we had a 50 average, I mean, 30 pennies doesn't sound like much, but 4.5% to the upside. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. SPGC still just trading sideways around here, really showing that resistance of 3. The longer it trades sideways, the more I would be inclined to say we're going to test this trend line in some way, shape, or form. ASTS giving the channel look. Here's your 1, 2, 3. Now discrediting those lows, I would say this is clear that you have a descending channel right here. And it sucks that we got 1 penny off from that second fill on the name. We'd have 10% taken off of the name, but sitting at a 490 or 390 average, we have probably a strong uptrend right there, where this descending channel has your previous highs as well. So looking for a 4 hold, and we'll see from there. Bob, continuing. It's this looks like it's gonna break this channel. It just looks like it's gonna break the channel. End phase. Finally giving a nice little pullback. You know, if it pulled back over to here, I'd say you have a strong trend line. So if it takes a while to get there, maybe we have some sort of descending channel that can stay slightly sideways like this. There's your catalyst for a 2650 retest. GNS continuing to follow this descending channel. Just marking out some levels. AMPS, absolute terror. AMPS is on. This is a name we should have more size on, and it's my fault. This is an error on my end for not having adjusted this alert. We put this alert in early in the day. We said, hey, if it breaks these 45s, we'll think about it. And we should have adjusted it to these wick tops right here, which, you know, just to be safe, we could have been 38, and we would have had plenty of time to get that better size position down here in these 40s. But taking that breakout, a lot of time I'm inclined not to take as much size. But a notable move on the name, and we're not even thinking about trimming it. Even if it pulls back in, we're looking for a high break where we wouldn't be surprised to see this name printing up near these 850s. Let's see what the tape's looking like on SPGC. Still not much size. Just trying to hold the level. We're still just waiting for this red candle to come on in. We'll play this trend line, put the stop in, call it a day. I make it sound easy, but that's how we're playing it. GNS, giving that continuation to the downside. G-sit, we took that off of the watch. But, you know, giving up the lows yesterday, we said, yeah, we got some time with this one. I think it's worth giving more time. More time needed. AMD, we said we were getting close. Just tapping those wick tops right there from a couple days back, kind of put it on the map. Well, you can see the wedge pattern being built. You know, probably not the greatest, but there's your descending channel. If this is a wedge pattern, I would go from right over here and say, you probably have something sort of like that building up. So we feel we have time left on this. If this discredits that in any way, shape, or form, I would say it's potentially a long, but showing some patience with the name. NVAC continuing to trade sideways, still hasn't gotten close to those 805s. 805 is the gap. I mean, I really don't have too much else for you guys. I mean, it's the same names. It's the same names. There's no need for us to stray away from it. We're just building out the positions. We could look for something else. If I was gonna trade something else, it probably would have been the go-to trade. But we knew we had earnings coming up. I just don't know if it's worth it. We can take a look at GME, weak name, Google, taking out the highs. I mean, it looks like a hold. It looks like a just hold. Uh, Fundamentally sound company. Does it ever come back into this trend line? Lord knows if it tests this flat top again at 108, we're buying. Lord knows. Lord knows. CrowdStrike has earnings coming up. Testing chop. A lot of chop right there. Jets ETF. A nice trend line hold. Probably not a perfectly set channel, but notable that it's testing the trend line and the neckline. If you were looking for an ETF, I'd say the Jets is probably the ETF I'd go with right now. The Nasdaq, you're just not really sure. At least the Jets, you're convincingly at a support level with a lot of green volume on this move. We switched this over to a weekly chart. You're still holding positive strength, but you can see the move. Even if we went to a monthly chart, you can see the S pattern. It's a little bit sideways, but you can see the S pattern testing to the neckline, getting closer to that positive break. If you get a positive break on this monthly, it's going to take out these 2250 highs, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this printing up towards 34. So for an ETF to show that type of potential return right there, 82%, I would say the Jets ETF is probably the one I would feel most comfortable with. But we've been waiting on DAL, we've been waiting on AAL to really just kind of punch into those names, but it's just not there yet. Not there yet for us, but we'll see. AMPS. GNS still trying to hold this level, red engulfing through the level I'd expect. Selling pressure off these low 80s, 83 to 81. I'd expect some selling pressure. Here we're at 81s. APLD, nice move. Everything given a nice move today. And of course, we're in on the most boring one, SPGC, just trading sideways. But I mean, AMPS, we did add some more to the AMPS. Nice, notable move on AMPS. We're looking to hold. BAC, convincing move, a nice stair step. These type of channels kind of just give me the feel of, it's going to eventually come back and retest this area. But, maybe I'm wrong. We're going to stick tight with what we got. What's the tape looking like? Do we still have 90s on the bid? We sure do. We have 95s on the ask, though. So, I mean, this price could easily just put this candle up to 95s. Ooh. End phase. Breaking down those 28s. I would say it could be setting up for this channel. I'll just move that channel down just a little bit. AMPS finally showing a little red candle. Nice 3 candle move. I'd expect 75s to 72s to have good support. Warner Bros. Giving you the bull flag type of look, decreasing volume throughout. We have 9 minutes left on this candle. I would be shocked if this didn't leave some wicks into these highs right here. So as it pushes down, starts leaving that wick. GNS got as high as 81s. We said we're looking for some selling pressure, 81s to 83s. I mean, I don't know how else to draw that up for you guys. I mean, it's the same. It's rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. We look the same. We look at every name the same. And is more liquidity going to be bought or sold right here? We said we'd expect more to be sold. And here we are, continuing to follow this sort of tight channel to the downside. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to put it. SPGC took out that size of 95s. Now the only thing on this on the book is 97s. We got 6 lots there. Let's see if I can take those out. AMPS, get that wick buying into that green move. Same way. We said, are more people going to be willing to buy or sell? Well, more liquidity was bought than sold right there. Baba, whoo man, there's not too many different ways we can set this channel. But really giving the feel like, hey, if we just show a green candle move up to there, even if it pulls back into 93.50s again, it looks pretty darn good. And here's the green candle starting to make a push. I'd expect some resistance off of 70s, but here we are. We're right there right now as we speak. DFS giving a beautiful look. I mean, that just holding above that downtrend right there. You have the descending channel look, catching a bid. Nice channel. Now starting to come into play. If this turns into a bull flag, nice green move right here. Not too much volume and increased selling pressure, but you do have a wick of buying involved with that. I wouldn't be surprised to see this try and take out the highs and claim 90s convincingly. We now have 13 lots stacked on 91s here for SPGC. GNS giving the look like, hey, we're going to keep that continuation to the downside. It sucks to hold it, but I mean, we had 3 prints on the name today. Each one of them higher than the price we're at today. So, I mean, we'll take that with a positive. Sometimes when you have a really good position, it's hard when the price is up here and you could have had those same outs higher. But to get a 208, to get a 92, to get an 80, all part of the plan. And now, even though it caught a bid and retested those 2s, we could have had one more out if I was going to say that, you know, this level right here is setting up like we're going to break down. But kind of discrediting these highs over here. The only thing that we have left is that neckline, and that's just the start of the neckline. The true neckline break, you can see it test it right here. But I'd say there's bigger fish to fry than GNS today. Looking at the daily candle,
you know, you still have good support built in off these 50s, so we'll see how that looks. Let's take a look at rig. We haven't looked at rig in a while. GNS crossing over that. GNS really giving up the ghost right here. Let's watch this. Really giving up the ghost there. We can think about this off of 150. $180 out doesn't seem that bad no more, huh? Discrediting this channel. I don't think we even need that there no more. Wicking towards that neckline for now. Continuing the wick for that neckline. We're not buying the neckline. Not with that red candle. Oh, no, no, no. If that would have stayed inside that channel that we had set, I would say that we could have. But not with that red candle. We'll hold a little bit more regard for that 150. You're okay, puppy. My bad, guys. My dogs are barking. I would say based off this chart setup, this kind of looks a little bit dead right now. Probably, I don't even know if we'll even buy any of it today. But we'll re-put that alert in for 55s. And if that triggers, which I would expect it to trigger, we can watch this gap fill at 45s and see if it's worth an order. But other than that, I mean, I don't see any reason why we should force ourselves in for a reload here on this name. Yes, it's wicking into that level for now, but all it would take is a move back up to 75s and boom, slam it back down. Getting a negative break on that 15 minute as well So a couple of correlating negative looks for the name. We're kind of just content with this SPGC. Looking for this trend line. But let's see what the tape's looking like on it. Oh boy, we actually have 94s are stacked on the bid. So, oh, it's actually showing price at 96 right here, which is the 5 lots on the ask. 24 lots on 94, so your price is technically right here. Just not enough volume to even get this next candle to start. But you know, looking at amps coming back in, testing towards those 73, 75 range, looks like support. Geo showing a little bit of resistance. I would expect it to still close underneath this 708. Not out of the woods yet. Not out of the woods yet. You see this wick coming on in, light volume on the day. If this is a bear flag, 1, 2, we're only on candle number 2. If it continues to wick into that area, you're going to see it curl and potentially break down this low. So letting some of the emotions kind of cool down. It was a nice moving candle, but I would say SPGC. Let's see if this can get a clean break of this 3 level. We're sitting at 95s. We'll see. We'll see. I'm optimistic about this position right here. I would say Discover Financial claiming 90s. It could be something there. We're just going to hold a little bit of restraint. AMPS, candle number 2, trying to turn green. Gonna need some time. It has a little bit increased red volume on a nice red candle. I'd expect some shorts, or not some shorts, but some selling pressure in the middle of that red move. GM holding a nice push. How does it act up here at these 33.50s? Baba, given a kind of a frowny face, does it have to trade back in? If it puts a red engulfing candle down to 93s, I would say it's probably going to discredit this, and we could just see it kind of just trade down. Maybe it has to trade back down to the gap, but I'd say you have a decent trend line right there. Is that something that can hold? I'm not sure. 95s is what we got for SPGC. ASTS, given that look like, hey, how are we going to act down here at this 4 flat? Warner Brothers, this is candle number 4. It can still wick down into this previous high before it catches a bid, but I want to see some wick pressure in a small wick or a larger wick and maybe even turn green on this candle. But candle number 4, we have light volume. If the volume wants to start picking back up, I want to see the volume when it takes out this 1304 to exceed 78K. Pretty simple game, right? That's what we're looking for. SPGC. Bid stacked on 95s. We actually took out the size on 96s here. So let's see if this wants to show some type of strength to the upside. PayPal, nice move. That is a 1-2 and it sets the flat top, trades sideways, takes out the flat top. Now we're testing up to these highs. PayPal, very good looking chart right here. AMPS still showing that buying pressure, but expecting some selling pressure to come in around this 678. Which there we are at. We're there right now. GNS, candle number 1 of the bear flag. There's your 3 candle moves of increased volume. the shorts and the selling is looking for decreasing volume on 3 consecutive candles and build this sort of frowny face for another leg down. Warner Brothers testing back up through 13 on candle number 4 gives you the gap up. You got the gap fill buyers intraday at 98. Boom, just like that, like a clock. Almost exactly how you draw it up, kind of like exactly how we drew it up here, but more actually a cleaner look here. As this second candle, it shows you a clean volume increase where this move had decreasing volume. Clean look right there. Now we're seeing 1302s. 9 minutes left in this candle. If it takes out this 1304 high, let's just go ahead and put an alert on that and just watch that live, just in case I miss it. AMPS, discrediting this red candle, kind of, but I'd still expect some sort of selling pressure here. It can fully discredit it if it doesn't show that washout top and trade back in, but if it closes above this, I'd expect more continuation. Baba trying to hold on top. Disney, a nice U build right here, kind of that inverse head and shoulders. Is it going to be able to break back over 84.50s? And we all know the flat bottom break here at 85s. Does it need to just test 85s and then trade back down? SPGC up to 97s. We've been so patient with this name. Let's see what we're looking like. Nope, still has those lots on 97s. It just chipped away a couple of them. Discover, already showing you the increased volume right here from candle to candle. We still have 8 minutes left on this, so it's trying to set up. And here's your volume peak, 4K. So if this candle exceeds 4K, which is almost at 3K left, halfway through, that would pass the rules for this breakout level to be able to take it. SPGC still trying to hold just right in this range. Geo giving up the ghost real quick. Why is that? I hate this thing. AMPS, new day's high. Is it going to wash out top? But I'd say discrediting this sort of red candle from before. The only thing that would top it off better is if this volume exceeded that 4K. BAC, churning days high. Churning away. Mara on a pump. Man, could easily have some of these names. Mara, we talked about it yesterday. Should have had it on watch for today. It was a monster level right here at this 1036. What a strange level. Monstrous level. PayPal taking out the highs now. It was just trading at 50s. Taking out the highs. Has a gap fill here up at 63s. Okay. GM getting very close to those 50s. It tapped it already once. How about that channel break? Boom. Sideways consolidation, now taking out the highs. Doesn't have the increased volume yet though. SPGC took out those 97s. There's 34 on the ask at 3. That's sort of a wall, but it has 20 lots on 97s. Buyers trying to show some strength on this name. GNS looks like a short. One, two, three pullback candles. Look at that nice volume increase. There's your decreasing volume. Now, as we're taking out this high, this volume is already increasing on this. Let's look at some daily levels on the name. Strong name. Nice U build, taking out the highs. At 270 was probably a break, which, you know, if you run this to the left over here, look at that, 266. Not a half bad look there. Nice level there at 12. Just looking at it right there, that's wick lows. Sound down, really testing that flat top. That's a nut up or shut up candle if I've ever seen it. That 250 test. Doesn't need to pull back to the trend line though. That's what we really wanted to see. SPGC 299s. Let's go see what the tape's looking like. Same lots on the ask. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll leave it here to see if this ends up breaking out. Maybe I gotta go to the bathroom before this name to break out. Sometimes that's how it works. I'll be back. And we are back. Looks like we didn't get our breakout there. I see AMPS taking out the highs, holding at the highs, getting as high as 84s. Oh boy, GNS. GNS triggered that 55s. Let's watch it right here. We can think about this. SPGC just took out that 3. Uh-oh, are we going to see breakout here? You can see the volume increasing right here. We have 135 on the ask right there. Let's try and take off a 10% while we have the chance. It's holding these. Let's see if we can get just one more little push. Chipped him. It's chipping. It's chipping those 305s. Let's take a piece there. So ringing the register, that should have gave us O2s. We'll see. It gave us 3025s. So getting 10% off the name. GNS, 33% to the downside. Coming all the ways back into this gap. How do we act here? 47s to 45s. Geo trying to show some strength. Warner Brothers still right at that 13. Let's take a look at that candle. Should be giving you a close here any second. SPGC, we got to open to the next candle right away. And here we are. We are going to probably try and show some. Let's go 309. Let's get another trim off of 309s. We're going to go 10% trim. Oh, that washout top coming on in. Oh man, that wick top coming down the 307s. Putting us in a bind right here. Let's buy back that 10% that we trimmed here. Let's try it. Oh, we're just getting ready to put that order in off 95s. It's alright. I can still come back in. Volume really picking up. We're just in the beginning of this. Bigger selling pressure. Is it going to be able to hold these threes? What is this clown saying over here? I got this new trader on this. He's an absolute clown. He says VFS has bottomed out at 54. I can't believe that's at 54, wasn't? Oh wow. Bottomed out at 54, he says. Anybody want to bet against him? I'll bet against him. You think VFS is bottomed out here at 54? You've lost your mind, sonny. Oh, I'll trade this new guy any day of the week. He's a clown. Absolute clown. What do I know? I only got 99 subscribers fighting to get number 100. What do I know? SPGC trying to hold these threes. Can we see some continuation where 309s to 315 is all going to be sell opportunity? Trim opportunity. But still trying to hold these threes. GNS, a nice candle. Perfect test of those 50s. 51s are the low. Look at that take. Tight channel on PDD. Go take a look back at VFS and see what boy wonder. Now, he says 54 is the low. The low is in. I will, oh my goodness. God. If this don't look like a short, I don't know what does. If that, kind of giving that washout top though. That's the only thing that's a little scary with this name. DFS giving a nice green candle on number 3. 2 pullback candles and boom. Volume increase getting higher than the move here. Exceeded that 4K. That's what we were looking for. Looks good. Looks good. Ripley, you're fine. This guy is a freaking clown. Oh wow, would you look at that? 54 bottom is in, he said. Oh boy, he's sitting here saying, "See, I told you that 54 is gonna be the low. Just wait, just wait, just wait. This is gonna go like this. It's gonna catch a bid. He's gonna feel like a genius. He's gonna feel like a genius, and it's gonna slam into this wick low right here, and these body candles, and it's gonna get slammed to the downside." SPGC. This volume increase right here. No, I just don't even know if I want to hold it anymore. We have it as a green trade as of right now, but GNS sort of kind of discrediting a bear flag. Well, there's your red move to the downside. It's giving a decent volume increase off of this. So if it does give you a curl, is it going to be one of those that gives you a washout bottom? Right down here to this 46, 47 area looks good. I don't see a reason to, it is a large move to the downside, but you do have a significant uptrend. If this is a left leg, builds a neckline, right bottom, you get the extended right leg. There was a catalyst for a retest of this 150 from the get-go. AMPS. How about that move on AMPS? Yes, sir. Man, we should have so much more size on this. Let's say we have a 650. 6%, no outs yet, so I don't want to speak too soon, but a nice move. I don't know, guys. I think this is probably going to call it for the day. I'm going to try and buy this trend line, and if it works out for me, it's going to break 3. But it's probably not a name I'm going to hold into the close unless it gives me that move. So, I mean, we'll see from there. But that's all I got for you guys. I appreciate anybody who tuned in. Wasn't a very action-packed stream. I mean, we got names that we're not wanting to hold. We want to hold them for bigger moves. Plain and simple. So that's what we got for today, and we will see you here on the stream tomorrow. So.